It's time to burn the incense. It's time to slay the sheep. It's time to wake the Muppets from 1,000 years of sleep. It's time to raise existence. It's time to banish light. It's time to call the void in on the Muppet Show tonight. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Muppet... Fluffenhammer! Fluffenhammer! There's no Muppets. We're all flesh people. There are no Muppets! Roll the music!
Man lives. Not every man truly dies.
Can I just say before we go on, I'm not adverse to there being Muppets on the show.
I have considered so many times now to reach out to people on like various platforms and say, could you make Muppet versions of us?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something like, I was going to contact Frank Oz and ask if he wanted to be on the show.
I was going to get in touch with like Jim Henson Studios and see if like, maybe we could get one of the Skeksis on the show or something.
Well, they're not going to be doing anything with the season 2 because Netflix cancelled that, so they probably have time to do something now, I guess.
It hurts.
Welcome to Netflix.
It's a wound, that is. It's a wound because I mean, it's such a shame. That show is amazing. It's like every frame is a work of art. Every single frame is a work of art. And its cancellation is really sad. I would have loved to have seen it go on, but at the same time, that first season is like a perfect jewel that will never be ruined. Mm-hmm. You know? So, it's a double-edged sword.
Unless, of course, it just vanishes from Netflix entirely and never to be seen again. And it wouldn't be a double-edged sword at all. It would be a sword with no hilt. It would just be a dagger. A dagger into my heart.
It was legendary, that show. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. It is a massive shame that it's not being continued.
Yeah, right.
But I can understand why, because, that ain't cheap.
No. And then, of course, you had the added problematics introduced by COVID and whatnot. I could definitely see the logistics behind it, you know?
One more Jim Henson property mishandled.
It is. On the plus side, though, right? CBeebies, Sunday morning, there's a thing called the Furchester Hotel, which is a Jim Henson program, and I love it.
Well, anything Jim Henson, to be honest. I'll watch anything with a Jim Henson puppet in it, because I think they're glorious.
Are the doses?
It is. No, I'm afraid not. But it is some of the smartest bits of parody I've ever seen in a pre-toddler TV show. I mean, there's like deep cuts of like Miss Marple and Agatha Christie jokes in it. Okay. It's just like, hang on, did that just happen? Did you just make a Robespierre joke? You did. You made a French Revolutionary Robespierre joke.
Okay.
What?
Enough.
And now we're counting chickens. Am I dead? Have I had a stroke?
What kind of cursed timeline is this?
It's odd. Honestly, if you ever get the chance to watch, like, it's absolutely full of charm, and it's all Muppets, so that's always good. And then, as I say, it's just got some really deep cuts for jokes. It's like, you just made a Welshman Velcro joke. What? Mm-hmm. How? Yeah, I love it. That and I've watched a lot of CBeebies recently.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can well imagine.
Because of the child, honestly, right? Not just because he wanted to. Right?
Well,
Little of column A, little of column B. Yeah.
There's very little media to watch on TV these days, so I understand.
Oh, well, that's why I normally don't bloody bother. But I mean, you got that. You got Go-Jetters, which is just basically Centurions, which is great fun.
One of my service users watches Go-Jetters, loves it to bits.
It's brilliant. Anything that involves a guy called Grandmaster Glitch stealing the Eiffel Tower so he can watch Mexican soaps, I'm in. That is the leaps of logic I enjoy. But we're not here to talk about Go-Jetters, are we?
Sadly not, no.
That's why you're going to join me on my Go-Go No-No Jetters. And it's a new podcast I'm going to start where we're going to systematically go through every episode of Go Jetters. In a different universe.
You could do it. If you had time.
It's called the... Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, well, what is time?
Well, I mean, ask George.
Oh, you're actually
George
asking you're actually asking what is time.
Yeah, ask George. Yes. George is a Zinch player here, so...
That's true, but the thing is, from a Zeechan perspective, time doesn't mean anything.
Well, there you go.
Time is something wield as a weapon as a Zeech player.
All I've got in my head now is, what is time? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
To a follower of Zeech, absolutely nothing.
Okay. Andy, what is your definition of time?
It's a fire. We burn.
Wow. Okay.
What time is the fire at which we burn? That's a famous thing. That's not just me.
No. It's just the way you said it. There was real conviction in your voice.
You know.
As I sit here, as I slowly get immolated by the passing seconds.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. That's day-to-day life.
Yeah. He's not wrong. You know.
No, I'm not disagreeing with anything you say. I'm just more... I'm highly amused by the delivery of such message. Where we started off with like the Furchester Hotel being nice and happy
now
and
we're
colourful.
actually getting into definitions of time, which is a bit of a leap. From CVs to definitions of time.
I never said I was a motivational speaker.
I've got my Kindle here on my phone. I'm just going to have a look. Have I got any Stephen Hawking books on here that we could quote? Maybe. Who knows?
I don't imagine Stephen Hawking would have been a great dude to read like audiobooks.
I honestly thought you were going to say, I don't think Stephen Hawking would have been a great Muppet.
Debatable.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably a tiny bit insulting, but, would be different. Would have been a different kind of Muppet. Actually, they must have made a Muppet of him at one point. It feels like it.
I would be surprised if he didn't appear on some like children's show.
Oh yeah.
I would be massively surprised if he didn't appear somewhere. I mean, I know he was on like adult cartoons like The Simpsons and whatnot.
I am well. He definitely appeared on Simpsons, didn't he? More than once.
Yeah. We all make mistakes.
I want to say.
Oh no, it was when Simpsons was good. No, that's not
yes,
fair. It was when it was good.
I seem to remember. I want to say he was actually on Sesame Street.
Yeah, I don't know. Something in my mind is sort of like, was he on Sesame Street? They do tend to have like scientists and philosophers and whatnot, don't they? So.
Well, yeah, they brought Neil Armstrong on once to explain to the Cookie Monster that the moon was not a cookie.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favourite things I've ever seen on TV, ever.
Was Neil deGrasse Tyson then murdered by the Cookie Monster for lying?
Yes, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who was standing next to Neil Armstrong, was murdered.
Just shanked. Cookie Monster shanked him.
Don't lie to Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster's in the Furchester Hotel, by the way.
Oh. Is it? Oh, right. So it is actually like a Henson, like a.
Oh yeah, it's full Henson. Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, Elmo's in it as well.
If the world ran out of cookies, do you think Cookie Monster would start eating people? Do you think he'd make that leap? Like, say if someone was baking cookies and Cookie Monster got so excited and he accidentally pushed them in and he Hansel and Gretel witched them. And then he's like, these human cookies are pretty tasty. And that's the first dark turn.
Sort of like the Hannibal Lecter route.
Yeah. Wow, these cookies are good. These people cookies.
I'm more thinking that he would be thinking that, well, cookies go inside people, so if I cut open the people, I can take the cookies out.
That's true.
There is a logic. Yeah, that's a very Cookie Monster logic as well. Isn't it? So,
If I cut out of people, I get cookies that were in people.
Oh no! Then he goes om nom nom, and he starts ripping into people.
Want to see that show?
So if you want to hear more of Andy on his demotivational speaker tour...
I'm on the internet. I'm around.
Right, shall we get a bit rolling here?
Yeah.
Let's spin the wheel of misfortune and find out who can speak first. It lands on Beans. Andy.
Am I a bean now?
No, you must eat all of these beans. All 50,000 beans. Beans means power. Power means great American dollar.
See, my second guess was going to be Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Oh my god, that 1990s. Oh my god. Puyo Puyo, there was so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
Puyo Puyo Puzzle Pon. Ah, man, I love Puyo Puyo.
How many reskins of that game were there for the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo?
Oh, good God.
Many.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking upwards of 20 for just Puzzle Puyo Puyo Dipon. Easily. I mean, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine's probably the most successful of them, but yeah, there was a lot.
There's Dr.
Chops
Mario
to
as well.
Sonic Mania, chops to Sonic Mania for including it as a boss battle.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Didn't see that coming.
No,
Loved
it was brilliant. It was brilliant. I played it for the first time on my Let's Play of it, and you can actually hear me when we get to that moment go, like, squee a little bit.
I still haven't finished Sonic Mania.
It's very good. Yeah. I struggle getting all of the Chaos Emeralds. That has never been my thing, so that's frustrating. But I love all the different characters and whatnot. I think it's very charming.
Oh, it is. I've got the plus version, so I can play as Mighty and Ray. Yeah. Relive those. That one time I managed to play the Sonic arcade game.
Oh, you actually managed to play it. Well done.
He's in Brighton, I want to say. I think it was Brighton that had it. It's either Brighton or Great Yarmouth.
Because it only appeared in like the Sega World arcades, didn't it?
It didn't. I mean, that's the only place where they had an actual copy of it. But there was somewhere which had a jammer board, and you had a couple of different games you could play on it.
Oh, I see. Right.
And this was about 99, 2000. And so, but you didn't have the roller ball. It was done with joysticks.
You played it with trackball, didn't you?
Yes, which I've never done. I've only ever played it with the joysticks,
right?
Which was really difficult.
I can imagine.
But yeah, that was. I think it was Great Yarmouth. Now I come to think of it. So yeah, when I was stopping in a whatever it was, not Brighton's, not Brighton's, not Butlins. That's what I was meant to say. It was a not Butlins Haven. That's what it was called. Had a tiger on it. That's how I remember. But I had a question. Andy.
Ag!
What have you been doing these last few weeks where we would have talked about if we'd done something last few weeks? We haven't recorded for the last few weeks. So what have you done?
Working, generally. Doing Twitch. And only kind of Warhammer-y thing is, because of work, I've got to finish Dragon Slayer. That was very good. That's a good little audio book. And I got to get... I think I'm near the end of Infinite and the Divine. I'm pretty sure I'm at the ending point. I'm at the end big battle, shall we say, Mr.
Yes, yes. How good is the Infinite and the Divine?
It's really good. It's it's I mean, you could argue it goes by the standard kind of two enemies who hate each other have to come together by the end to fight a common purpose. Yeah. But it does it really nicely. There's I like how it stretches over a very, 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 very long period of time as well.
Yeah,
that's nicely done. I like how
that's
they even
one
talk
of the
about
strengths.
Oh yeah. That didn't. Cadia happened at some point. I wasn't really fussed. I was thinking about this other thing I had to do soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, to him, Cadia was just kind of a meh. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Trazin's a winner in the fiction. Trazin is an absolute winner. Whenever he turns up in the fiction, he's hilarious.
The bit that got me the most was when they have the court case, and it goes on for, was it 3 millennia?
Yeah, absolute brilliance.
And every time it goes the way that it doesn't want it, just stops time, rewinds it.
See, I like it when they just have like a pause in the conversation, and the pause in the conversation, an awkward pause, is like 10 years. When they're just standing there not doing anything.
I love that. That is such a brilliant concept, and it makes the Necrons so... It emphasises their alienness in such a brilliant way.
You bastard! Oh, man. I love it. I loved it so much.
As I say, anything involving Trazyn, I'm the...
Yeah. Orkin's an interesting character as well. They're both kind of dicks. Both of them are assholes. Neither of them are the good guy. Both of them are very arrogant.
No.
Both of them are very self-centered. Neither of them really want to help the Necron race. Just want to fulfill their own desires. They're very mediocre desires.
Yeah. Trazyn doesn't give a shit.
No.
He really doesn't. He does not care. He's not like Zarek or any of the other Necron characters who actually care about the Necron race or the supremacy of one race over another or anything like that. He doesn't care. He's a collector. That's all he's bothered about.
I do like
and apparently he's got some corks in his... or Krogs, or whatever the hell they're called. The proto-orc.
The original, proto-orcs. Yeah, he has. He's got quite a lot of interesting stuff in his collection. Like, slices of the heresy are all there, but they're not just like simulations. They are actually slices of time.
Yeah, stasis lock.
Which is so cool. Such a cool concept.
Which pisses off Orkin, who's all about time, because it messes with his divining of time.
Of course, it would. Yeah, he's basically an astrologer, isn't he?
Is your favourite part of the book the surprise I left you a Gene Stealer for a birthday present?
I mean, the fact that just turns into like a couple of 1,000 years later into a full-blown, oh no, the Gene Stealer turned into a patriarch and now the planet is going to have a Gene Stealer uprising while we're watching this play. Whoops. To be fair, as soon as I saw, they talked about the lady, the main person doing the opera, and she started singing and everyone was under the sway. I was like, oh, the Tyranid dude's coming back, isn't he? They didn't kill it. This is its time. And it's like, yep, this is its time. I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. That's pretty cool. It was nice to have something related to the Gene Stealer cults be included in for me, an audiobook format.
Yeah.
And just to see like, oh, so this is why there's an Exterminatus going as well. Because it's a Gene Stealer cult. Whoops.
Yes.
The entire sequence of events that just starts off as surprise Gene Stealer.
Yeah.
It's fun to kind of see it unravel, how it all takes place. The only other time I can think of them being in books is everything's already underway. The cult is there and it's established. You don't get to see it begin in many other books.
Have they ever done one where there is like a perspective from the cultists, like so you can see, like, and maybe someone goes, "Ooh, maybe I don't want to be part of this cult."
I was actually going to say I'm really surprised. I'm sure there must be some short story out there where that has happened, but it's very rare, and there certainly hasn't been what you'd expect, like the big novel.
That's a shame.
Where that happens. Because
that
would be great.
You could do a lot with that, right? You're a writer, George,
cool.
right?
Yeah, I would love to do it. I'd love to write a Gene Stealer cult story. It would be a Marxist story. Obviously, it'd be a Marxist story because it would be about the oppressed against their oppressors. The underclass rising up. It would be so much fun to write.
I wonder why there hasn't been one. Maybe it's because the Tyranids aren't popular enough, or the Gene Stealer cults aren't popular enough.
I don't know. I honestly do not know because the stuff, the actual like fodder of story is so rich. It's rich. But the thing is, people love the Gene Stealer cults. They don't, not the Tyranids so much, but the Gene Stealer cults are really popular.
I think again, it's just like I was maybe suggesting. It's just people. It's just like a lot of what GW is about. It's like Space Marines, primarily Space Marines, and maybe that happens a lot with the novels as well. Horus Heresy exists because it is very heavily Space Marine based.
It's true. Yeah. It's true.
We were surprised when Infinite and Divine came out, and it was good.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and there's more incoming, isn't there, for the Necrons? There's the Silent King series that's about to start.
That I do want to read because Zarek is just such an interesting character.
Yeah, I want to know what he's been doing.
Yeah, I mean, I like that about him. The fact that the Ninth Ed Necron Codex sets up all this mystery as to actually what his actual motivations are. Because he's such an ancient and long-spanning character that it's very difficult to say what he's really doing.
Well, he's one of the oldest physical entities in the universe, isn't he?
In the universe, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of anybody who might actually be older and...
Apart from, like, the star gods and whatnot, it's...
Yeah, but they're more celestial, so I don't really count them.
In terms of, like,
actual
temporal
physical
creatures.
Yeah.
There aren't many, because the next oldest entity would, apart from the other Necrons, would probably be Eldred Ulthron or someone like that.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Who would be older?
Urian Rakarth, but would be but even then, the Eldari came about after the Necrontire, so because they were actually created to fight them, weren't they? So
yes, very true.
They were the servants of the Old Ones, weren't they? Once upon a time. So
everybody was a servant of the Old Ones at some point.
Apart from the Necrontire.
Yeah. I really want one of the Old Ones to turn up at some point, and it's just like an armadillo floating in space.
Well, it's supposed to be a frog, isn't it? It's supposed to be a lizard thing.
Fucking slan.
Fucking slan, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah, they're never going to actually do that. They're never going to do. No, I mean,
no. To be 100% fair to the Warhammer 40,000 universe, they've moved away from that depiction of the slan. The Old Ones. They're not that anymore. They're more metaphysical now,
What were the species
Makes me very
called?
sad.
The enslavers, the weird jelly brain people.
Oh, the enslavers are warp entities.
Okay.
Yeah, they're warp. They're sort of like byproducts of the warp that parasitically latch onto people's minds and souls.
But not chaos related, even though they're warp related.
No, they're warp related.
Okay.
They're just like random warp creatures,
Okay.
They're the Dross. They're a bit like the what are they called? Those weird hound things that the Drakari Beastmasters have.
Furbies.
Oh, Christ!
Those are the same. They're actually warp entities as well, but they're not aligned to chaos in any particular way.
Yeah. Okay.
Chimerae, is that what they're called?
Something like
that.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
But yes,
that's
those
very
are
annoying.
They're effectively demons without being demons.
Demons without the belief.
Yeah, non-chaos demons, effectively.
And if I look inside my copy of Rogue Trader, I can see that the enslavers here have some rules.
They did once upon a time, yeah.
I might have to make an enslaver army, just get some jelly and bleh, there you go. Just jelly on a base. Oh, man. And you also have been reading through Dragon Slayer.
Well, listening to it.
And, and how did you describe Dragon Slayer to me, Andy?
Yeah. When I finished listening to it, I sent a message to Gruff saying, "Oh, so it's just The Hobbit, but better."
and I started going,
the same way as The Hobbit does.
Shit, I've never realised that. But yes, it is.
It's just that. I mean, I equated it more, obviously, to the terrible, horrible movies, because I haven't actually read The Hobbit.
Oh, you haven't read the book?
It was a book, Get out of here. But no, it's really good, and it's only it only becomes the Hobbit by the time that obviously the dwarves go to fight the dragon. Before then, it's just your usual Gotrek fun time journey, and then right at the end it goes, we'll do a Hobbit reference because why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think maybe not like a massive problem, but one minor issue I had was the Skaven stuff with
Thanquol and Bone.
Yeah, it just kind of ends. It just stops suddenly. I get why, because it's setting up for like the Chaos Horde invasion, but it does just end when he gets to Hell Pit.
Yeah, well, it's setting up for what happens next, and it's setting up for the Thanquol books.
Yeah, because Bone Ripper and Thanquol become their arch enemies, don't they?
They're already there for the arch enemies. Yeah. It's Lurk. There we go. Lurk Snitchtongue. He's do you like Lurk's character arc, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, again, he didn't get to do much. It's just more like he's a bit more. I wouldn't say he's more devious, because it's he's always been devious and not wanting to work with Thanquol. He just now has the power to do something about it, but he doesn't do anything about it at the moment.
No. I love it. He's got the living power of a vermin lord.
Well, they don't say that specifically in the books. I didn't know that.
No. Well, it's he's warp mutated to the size of a rat ogre.
Yes.
He's got twice like the muscle mass of a rat ogre. He's there's like sheaths in his arms with extra bony bits, and he's got full Wolverine powers, and he's regenerate, and he's just like stupidly powerful, and he just hides in a box because he's scared.
Well, he's being careful, because when he's talking about Thanquol, he doesn't know at that point how strong he is, and he is still wary, quite for a good reason, quite wary of Thankful. After
Yeah,
Thankful
Thankful's-
snorts all that
yeah.
warpstone dust and makes giant skaven hands during a battle.
Yeah. Why is the ground coming to meet me?
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I like that skaven fight with the dwarfs. That was a good one.
No, I really like that book. It's I like all of them actually. I mean, once you get past I want to say Beast Slayer, the tone starts to change and it starts to get a little less light-hearted.
Okay, well, I suppose that makes
but-
sense because the end times are coming, aren't they?
Yeah,
Does
yeah.
make sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Did Felix survive the end times?
No,
He didn't,
No.
did he? No.
No.
Fuck no. That's God.
Well, that's what was it Realm Slayer or was it Ghoul Slayer that kind of talked about it?
It's- Blood of the Old World has a sequence in it which is Felix's last moments playing in the background as Gotrek goes to find his way back, and it is heart-wrenching
Yeah.
because Felix is no, not thinking about it. No,
Is he one of those characters that is categorically dead?
no.
Yeah, I would say
you
no.
don't.
I mean-
You don't see him die. I'll put it that way.
And even if he is
Interesting.
dead, you know,
But-
in Age of Sigmar,
I was going to say,
Yeah.
doesn't matter, does it? Just
No.
bring him back.
not really.
He'd make a very good Stormcast, wouldn't he?
Well, funny you should say that, because rumour has it that he will be appearing in the not too distant future
That
as a
would-
Stormcast.
That would be very cool.
I thought they established that he wasn't a Stormcast because Gotrek was, you know, asking about him being a Stormcast. Mm-hmm. Wasn't that specific where they said he's
is-
not?
Well, he's not a Stormcast yet.
Oh, okay, but he could be. Okay, so he could be a floaty soul at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, my thinking is going to be that Sigmar returns Felix to Gotrek in order to stop Gotrek from beating his face against the gates of Azir. is going to be my, you know, it's like, I'm a god, come down here, or I'm going to rip off your arms and your legs, put your legs where your arms were, put your arms where your legs were, make you dance for my amusement on your brand new leggy arms. You know, I can see something like that happening.
What are we going to do now, Gotrek? Well, we're going to do what we did before. I'm going to look for my tomb and you're going to write my story. Felix just standing there going, no. Nothing.
But I'm like super powerful now and made
Yeah.
of lightning.
You're going to shut the fuck up and you're going to write my book. Come here.
But I mean, you've got to kind of like work out what's going to happen to the Dark Elf lass.
Yeah.
If that's the case. Yeah. I mean, after Git Slayer, I'm not entirely sure she's going to turn on him anymore.
I still haven't done Good Slayer. Was Good Slayer good?
Git Slayer's very good.
Ah, good.
Git
Is
Slayer.
it audiobook? Because I think it wasn't, was it? At least not at first.
Is
it audiobook
yes,
now? It is?
It's out on audiobook now, yeah.
Okay, I think that was when my subscription ended because I had my card like expired and I just didn't update because I was like, oh, I've got loads of audiobooks, so I'm not going to bother updating my information yet because there's no
Yeah,
point.
yeah. It's Git Slayer does not shy away from the horror of the Gloomspite.
Would you say it doesn't shyish away from it?
I would, but that's because I'm a terrible human being.
No, I made that joke, so I'm the terrible person here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, much like Gloomspite itself didn't shy away from them, the Gloomspite it's one of those weird things where there's a massive disconnect between what the Gloomspite are in the lore and the actual models on the table. I kind of wish they would push a little bit more towards it. There's some of it, like the Gobbabalooza has a lot of that horror to it. That mutable horror that the Gloomspite are. Because, I mean, one of the great things about the Gloomspite is that because of all the mushrooms they eat, they're vastly mutagenic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they change, their appearance changes quite regularly. But the more powerful you are, the less like a grot you actually look.
I think they probably would want to edge away from that tabletop wise because that would. I mean, you could obviously leave that up to customizers to do that, but from a
Oh, of course, yeah.
from a model
yeah.
making perspective, you probably don't want to worry too much about that and just make the generic goblin. Also to keep people
Yeah,
happy because people like goblins for good reason.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, Night Goblins are always going to be one of my favourite armies ever.
Yeah.
They're really fun on the tabletop as well, aren't they, apparently?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, Gloomspite on the tabletop is just glorious. It doesn't matter if you win or lose because you're just going to have a great time.
Yeah.
And
I
also,
love getting...
so I was just going to say, obviously at the moment as well, unfortunately, AOS is just focused on the the Cruel Boys and the Stormcast, and that's it now. Which is a
For
shame,
the
but I get it.
time being.
Yes, for the time being. And the dragons, which I don't obviously care about. We talked about that last time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like there's, again, a little bit of a spotlight off the AOS at the moment, which I get,
Oh yeah,
40K,
definitely.
as usual.
The spotlight's currently on Ninth Ed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lots of exciting stuff happening there.
I found it really weird that Gen Con had no AOS stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. Didn't they have...
That was strange.
Well, they announced... what's it called? I've got it right across from me. Underworlds. Underworlds, the new box set, didn't they? So they did that, I guess. I guess that was the big push, really, wasn't it? Because the new Crew Boys for that look really good. I am a little bit salty that it's like, who's the who's the Crew Boys against in that set? Oh, it's the Stormcast. I was like,
it's the Stormcast.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I was like, how many warbands did the Stormcast have now for Underworlds? I think like legit
5?
maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And that's too many, especially compared to some of the other forces. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's...
Cruel Boys, that makes sense. Yeah, 100% makes sense. They're the new faction.
They're lovely miniatures, aren't they?
Yeah, they're great.
Lovely. I love the guy with the cage on his head.
You know where this would have been a good thing to do? Even if you don't need to build an entire army. Cities of Sigmar. Do that.
Yep.
Because it's human, so fine. You could connect it to the lore, which is the expansion stuff. Is again great. But it's not just the Stormcast again.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And also, it'd be just lovely to see a few more, humans from the mortal realms, wouldn't it?
Human, dwarf, elf,
Yeah,
kind of like what they did with
the
Curse City.
Yeah.
But obviously make it sell so people can buy it.
Yeah. It's really weird to me because they made this huge push for this new version of AOS, which was like the expansion, the rebuilding, the population. It's just gone... nothing else.
Yeah.
Because I honestly thought within 2 months you would get the new Cities of Sigmar stuff. Because that seemed to be where it was going. It seemed to just be, here are people to just go.
It's the narrative push, isn't it? We've seen it in the narrative, but that's it, not in the actual miniatures ranges or anything like that. Like the Crusade is expanding out from the Cities of Sigmar.
I mean, the Dominion book... Yeah. It really gets into the nitty-gritty of how these crusades happen. Honestly, if they had announced some new Cities of Sigmar stuff after I'd finished that book, I probably would have jumped into getting a Cities of Sigmar army.
Well, theoretically, a Cities of Sigmar army could be incredibly interesting. Maybe it's too... maybe they'd have to make it too generic. Maybe that's what they don't want to do, or maybe they want to still leave that avenue open to use the old models. I don't know. But it does seem like they're undercutting the idea of the concept of the Cities of Sigmar quite a bit to more of a relegated army as a use your old stuff rather than a concept for a new idea. Unfortunately, I don't know.
It's fascinating to think, though, isn't it, that culturally speaking, there are more diverse cultures represented on the tabletop for Chaos.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because there are all the different cults and whatnot, all the different humans from the different cults and the different god-specific books, all of which have their own quite diverse backgrounds from different areas of the mortal realms. It's odd, that.
It is. It really is. It's one of those annoying things. I mean, I've talked many times about my hatred of pantaloons and why I never will be able to get into the Empire's look because the Old World Empire's pantaloons upset me greatly. Stupid fucking trousers.
That's where they smuggle their sausages, though.
Full bloody cantaloupes in those things. But... I'm actually really interested in the idea of running a Cities of Sigmar army. I love the idea of them. I mean, the idea in the novel Dominion, you actually have this woman gets a vision and just goes, right, well, we're having a crusade. And everyone gets behind and goes, right, she's had a vision, we're having a crusade. And they go off, and it doesn't really matter if the crusade wins or loses, as long as there is a crusade happening.
Yeah.
And that's I'm all behind the idea of doomed companies going off to march to their deaths. Yep,
It's the incredible cultural diversity you have across the realms as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are civilizations in the realms that do resemble the Empire of old, and have all of the sort of black powder stuff, and all of that. But that's not the only thing. There's so much more.
Yeah.
In the mortal realms. There are almost like semi-industrial steampunk style civilizations and stuff like that. There are civilizations that rely exclusively on magic and abstraction and whatever.
Well, it's the one in the Realm of Life, isn't there, where the... was it the Realm of Life, or was it the Realm of Light? I think it might have been the Realm of Light. Yeah, it's in Haish, where the Lumineth steal people away to change their minds overnight and then just put them back in with new personalities.
Yeah,
to make sure
that
there's no tension within the city.
Yeah.
That's yes, please.
Brilliance.
More of
Absolute brilliance. Yeah, love it.
I mean, granted, that
Civilizations
is
in Ulgu that are based exclusively on lies and politicking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah.
The dystopian perspective, the potential for dystopias there is amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean, you think about what does a city in the realm of death feel like?
Right.
You know?
I mean, the fanatic cultures that you get in Shyish.
Mm-hmm.
Because Shyish isn't just like the Nagash stuff either. That's another thing.
No.
It's not just the Nagash stuff. It's like all the other afterlives as well.
I mean, to be fair, all you need to do there is read City of... what's it called? The Sorrow book that you were talking about earlier, Gruff?
Lady of Sorrows.
That's the one. There you go. That tells you about one of the places quite in depth, at least from the small amount that I read.
Oh my god, the end of that book. Oh, it's so good. The curse is broken. If anybody else has read that, they know what I mean by that, and a small shiver of horror goes down your spine. Oh yeah. Honestly, Lady of Sorrows is one of those ones where I just want to buy copies and send it to people, just going, read it. It's apparently it's anything that has "of" in the middle, because I did that with City of Secrets.
So, I mean, what is the next thing for Age of Sigmar? After,
Dragons.
Is it the dragons next?
Yeah. Dragons is the last thing that they've announced.
Right.
I thought you meant a harder push. I didn't think you meant that's all that we know about.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
there are lots of rumours in the pipeline, aren't there? There's lots of rumours.
Yes.
I mean, the one I've heard is that the Blades of Khorne are getting a revamp at some point. That's what I've heard.
I suppose
Blades
they could
of
get a redo. Maybe not for the entire line, obviously, but maybe a new book. Yeah, they could do with a new book, I guess. Yeah,
which is interesting. I mean, the one that really does need a new book is the Maggotkin.
I guess you mean, yeah.
I would actually say that one that really needs a refresh is the Fire Slayers.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, I was talking about out of the Chaos books, but the Fire Slayers need, and that's another rumor, isn't it? The Fire Slayers are, but it's the Duardin in general, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's the way it seems to be getting rumored that the all Duardin are getting merged into one book, which
that makes sense. I can see that.
I think it's purely because the Dispossessed and the Fire Slayers look so small by themselves. I mean, the Caradron are fine. The Caradron are doing great. I mean, if you have a look at what the Caradron have been able to do on the tabletop in Third Ed, Jesus!
Yeah, they're pretty high up there, aren't they?
They are nightmarish to go against.
Oh, Slaves to Darkness as well. That's another one that's getting a revamp, apparently.
Yeah, that seems a bit weird. That doesn't seem that old.
Yeah, it isn't. It really isn't. They had a book not that long ago at all, but apparently Slaves to Darkness is one that's up for a revamp.
I mean, that would be 2.5 years old, I want to say.
I don't even know.
3 years old?
I don't even think it's that old, to be honest.
Well, it didn't come out last year, because last year was Lumineth. Actually, it came out when me and Taz were sharing a room in Nottingham. So, however long ago that was, right? When me and you were having our romantic weekend away, that was when Slaves of Darkness came out. And I know this because the commander on that big lizard creature...
Oh, yeah.
That made Taz yelp. And Mephistian, that's not what he's called. The Blood Angels guy.
Yeah, Mephiston, yeah.
Mephiston, right. His miniature was announced.
Did he get Primarist?
Yes, and that made Taz very, very happy.
Oh, gorgeous miniature that is. I mean, that is just... It's based on that bit artwork, isn't it?
The Mark Gibbons, yeah.
Oh, God. And Mephiston's a great character anyway, so, to have him, looking that vampiric and that dark, it's wonderful.
Did anyone else see the Mark Gibbons moment over the weekend?
Yes, I did.
Where his art was used to make the thingy for the Black Templars.
The Black Templars, yeah.
And somebody had cropped out the Mark Gibbons signature on the art.
Oh.
And about 12 hours later, there was an apology, and the original art was put up instead.
Quite right.
Yeah. I don't know who the hell did that, but I think somebody got into a lot of trouble.
I think somebody got into trouble for that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's fairly naughty and illegal.
So it's
Absolutely,
a frowny face for sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
yeah.
Definitely is.
I was watching it through Gibbons's Facebook page, and he just went, "Well, this has been a fun 24 hours." It's just like I don't think anybody's to blame here. I think something went wrong.
Yeah.
So, all right, okay, fair dues.
More fun to blame people though and be angry.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
No,
I don't have the energy to be angry.
No, I do think it was probably more an error than... I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a shitty thing to do to an artist, but the fact that it's been put right...
Oh, speaking of errors...
Enough, fair enough.
Speaking of errors, did anyone see the error that happened today?
No.
So, for about 20 seconds, the you go into the Games Workshop website, and it's got all of the stuff along the top, all the logos.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings one was replaced by the Horus Heresy.
Well, I mean...
What does that mean?
Well, it means that Lord of the Rings looks like it's going to be going away,
That's
and Horus
impossible.
Heresy is going to be...
No.
Makes
No one called that ages ago, I feel.
Hey, if you want to talk about things that we've called on this bloody show,
Well, I didn't
apparently...
even just mean us. I meant loads of people. Like, people have been saying for ages, Lords of the Rings probably has to go.
Inevitable, yeah. I mean, it's got a shelf life, hasn't it? It has a very definite shelf life, and it's done,
Well, I wouldn't even say that. I would say it's more the case of, like, you don't need to pay the license holder anymore, really, for that specifically. And like you say, I suppose it's like, you don't need it. Not anymore.
I would guess that with the Amazon series about to come out, the license fee is about to jump right back up again.
It's probably going to be expensive.
And it's probably going to be, well, they're going to ask for far too much because it's the most expensive TV series ever made.
Apparently so.
Let's not bother.
There's no guarantee it'll even be successful.
Yeah.
Nope.
Especially coming on Amazon. It's like,
Right. Let's see.
Well, considering the fact it's based in the Silmarillion, I'm
not... what part of the Silmarillion? That's what I want to know.
Well, the first series is going to take place between sentences 4 and 5 of chapter 3, paragraph 2. And then the rest of the series will take place between a song on page 18.
I think everybody's got the fear of, hey, do you remember the Hobbit movie and how they filled in and expanded the story there? And it's like, they're going to do the same for the Silmarillion? Where could this go wrong? Who knows?
You can't expand on the Silmarillion. It's just a collection of notes.
That's why it has to be expanded, because it's like there's nothing here.
There's nothing to expand on.
It's
If
true.
it was literally just John Hurt reading it to you from a little chair by a fire, that would be fine.
Yeah.
Right,
And let's be honest, Hollywood doesn't have the writers at the moment. At least the writers that are allowed to work. They don't have the writers that are allowed to work to make anything decent, at least from my opinion.
That's absolutely true. No, it's true. It's absolutely true.
I've reached this point in my life where, unless it was produced by Elijah Wood, I'm probably not interested.
I 100% believe in Hollywood there are good writers in there. It's just they're not the ones allowed to write the shows or direct the shows or produce shows.
When the good writers do produce something good, it's taken away and then rewritten and edited and transformed and chopped and changed into something generic and crowd pleasing and edited by Boardroom, and then it's terrible.
Yeah.
That's
There's a reason I don't watch much anymore. I'll just keep going back and watching The Colour Out of Space. Just watch that again and again.
Even that's got issues to it from a movie
of
perspective.
course, yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
it was at least fun. I would say that about it. It had some
I
nice
would say
ideas. It does not a terrible job
it's-
at what it's working with, which is a very like, how do you film this? I don't know.
that's it, isn't it? That's it. How on earth do you... It was deliberately written so you can't visualize it.
Yeah.
So how do you translate it into a visual medium? And they do a fairly credible job with it.
It's
know?
not terrible
yeah.
now. It's like, it's That's
It's
how I
good.
would describe it.
It's a decent. It's a decent
enough.
adaptation of Lovecraft, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's a decent Lovecraftian horror film.
There are much worse examples out there of Lovecraft horror films. Let's be
Oh my
honest.
god, aren't there? Oh my god,
She.
aren't there?
There is always She 2, and She 3. Which, if you've never seen any of them, I'm happy for
I
you.
haven't. We never covered them from Lurkers in the Lobby.
No, we never could. There's a reason. Right. I will put you through a lot, Andy, right? I will go into great lengths in order to cause you pain.
It's true.
But that small, fluttering, dying butterfly of compassion that nestles in the black pit of my soul would not put you through She.
Yay!
Not because I don't want I don't want you to be in pain or anything like that. It's because it's relentlessly boring. And there would be absolutely nothing to talk about other than... And there's David Warner.
I literally thought you were going to say
Hi,
not because I
David.
care about you. I was like, oh. Wow.
You supplied that into the conversation from inside your mind, Andy.
Oh, no.
I never said it. I'm not even real. Actually, speaking of Lovecraft, which, by the way, I actually mentioned to somebody the other day, all right, what do you podcast about? Oh, mostly it's about Warhammer, but Lovecraft's a subtopic that we
It
come to
does
on a regular
creep in,
basis.
like almost every. It's almost a drinking game thing, isn't it? You know.
So sometimes we talk about his work, sometimes we just talk about the person and make
Yeah.
fun. And my favourite Lovecraft is Fat Happy Lovecraft. Honestly, that picture of him chubby and smiling is like the happiest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like,
Yeah.
he did have good days. Yay!
Who did he eat?
His ex-wife. I finished a book called Lovecraft's Monsters, which was a collection of short stories that took a more modern take on existing tales. So, for example, the Hounds of Tindalos, they had two of the hounds on Earth in human bodies trying desperately to get
Right.
back to being angels, so to speak.
Okay, that's kind of fun.
Set in like the late 90s. It was really good. But there's one of them, and it's set 75 years after the Shadow over Innsmouth. And it's basically Guantanamo Bay. I can't bloody speak tonight.
Guantanamo. You've done it to me now.
G-Bay.
Guantanamo.
Yeah.
Yay.
Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, it's basically that, but for deep ones.
That's very cool. What an interesting idea.
It is such a good story.
Hang on,
What
are
an
the-
interesting idea.
Which is it? Is it the people imprisoned are the fish people, or the people imprisoning normal
The people imprisoned.
Okay.
It's all the people from Innsmouth who were infected.
Interesting. Wow.
And once every 30 years, they just stand and face the north side of the wall and just all stare at it. And the story is them trying to work out why they keep doing it.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's nothing bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's,
I'd see. I'd leave him to. I'd just be like, don't ask questions.
Yeah.
Leave him to it.
Let's
Silly
do it.
fish people.
it's really good.
You know, the thing is, waterboarding them wouldn't work.
Ah, but sandboarding them would.
Ah ha ha.
Oh,
And
man,
also
the torture.
be crap as well, because could you imagine just having a load of sand poured into your open mouth? Ugh. Or gills.
One of the tortures is they take them down in chains to the beach and then just let them like stand within a couple of inches of it.
That's cool.
You can't get into the water, you know.
That's very cool.
Then just drag them back. It's yeah. I mean, honestly, really good book. There's another one which is it's basically the old ones' apocalypse happened, so the entire universe is apocalyptic because the old ones took over.
Huh.
Yeah, it's the last remnants of life on these different planets. That's pretty good. But then it goes down the magic autistic route, and I just went, no.
Is this where the autistic person saves the world?
Yeah, well, kind of.
Like
Kind of
in
is.
Predator? The new
Yeah,
one?
the Predator.
Why is that a thing? Why is that a thing in Hollywood where the autistic person is the uber brain, the
It's
pinnacle of the
complex.
species?
It's
So
really
weird.
complex. I mean, the reason that happens is because it's a way that sort of culture insulates itself against things that it finds difficult to handle or that it finds corrosive to itself.
Okay.
You know, it tries to it does the same for lots of other demographics as well. So it does the same for gay people. It does the same for trans people. It does the same for loads of us. You know, anyone who's from a demographic that was historically been treated quite badly, or which has been deemed to be corrosive to culture, it assimilates us in this really strange way by creating brackets for us that are entirely prescribed.
Is it
And
trying
that's
to
what it's doing.
fetishize in a way and
In
be
a
like,
way,
sorry,
yes.
we treated you
In a
badly
way,
and we'll make
yes.
you the superhero?
That's it. Yes, it's almost like a weird kind of cultural mass apology.
Okay.
It's really weird. There's so much
Yeah.
like complex sociology and psychology that's going on there, and in its own peculiar way, it's as damaging as any negative portrayal. You know, it doesn't allow autistic people to be human.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
Just
exactly
be
it.
human. You know.
And I will put my hand on my heart and sit here and say, The Predator is the worst film I've ever fucking seen.
Oh,
Really?
You're lucky.
Wow, that
Yeah.
bad? God.
It's not.
I've seen much worse.
There are worse films out there.
Epic movie.
Oh yeah, but Epic Movie has no passion behind it. Epic Movie
I
was
don't know.
made. No, it wasn't. It was a load of people got together and made a film over a weekend. They probably had a great time doing it. They probably enjoyed a lot of beers doing it. But there was no passion on the screen for what they tried to do. There are worse films out there. There are films that have made a lot worse. I think, in all honesty, films like Epic Movie probably have more going for them than The Predator. The Predator was from start to finish incorrectly. Battlefield Earth is a better film.
Have you ever seen Sex and the City 2?
I have not.
Well,
George, why?
I'm a little bit shocked that exists.
Why,
I
George?
watched it because of Mark Commode's rant on it.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever seen Mark Commode's rant on it?
No.
Best thing on the internet.
So you went in knowing it was bad then, clearly,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
I thought you just meant you were a fan of Sex and the City, and you were like, oh, no, I love the first one. I'll go and see the second one. It'll be just as good.
No, it's
fine.
It's everything Mark Commode says it is. It is. I mean, his review is one of the best things on the internet, bar none. If I'm ever feeling down, I go and watch Mark Commode's review of Sex and the City 2. Because he goes full, like, old Trot at the Barricades on it. He calls it corpulent, dripping orgy of consumerist pornography. It's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. Just watch it. Go and watch it. Anyone listening, go watch Mark Commode's rant on Sex and the City 2. It is one of the best bits of cinema criticism ever.
I will do that this evening.
Yeah, worth it. It's not very long. It's only like 10 minutes, but it's fantastic. This gives you the measure. At one point, he actually starts singing the Internationale. So, yeah.
You should go and watch Malignant as well. That's a pretty fun, stupid horror film. A new one, too.
Yeah, I hear like antipodean things about Malignant. People either love it or hate it.
Yeah, I would say what it's similar to, but if I said what it was similar to, then it would spoil the in quotations, but not really surprise.
Okay.
I think I already know what the surprise ending is. I think the title gives it away.
I'm okay. Pop it over to me in Skype. So obviously not in the Skype, the group chat part. But then I can let you know if you're right or not, and I can be like, yeah, no, you were wrong. We
were talking about the Black Templars.
Oh, were we? Oh, shit.
We were talking about something.
To Games Workshop.
Oh, shit.
Tell you what, George. Let's find out what you've been up to.
I've been doing loads of stuff actually.
Wow.
I've deliberately made time at long last for hobby, you know, because what did it was the Thousand Suns Codex. You know, it really is that has inspired me. That's got me off my arse. It really has. It's massively inspiring. And Ninth Ed in general, I think Ninth Ed 40k is brilliant. I'm really enjoying it. So I've got some of my Shattered Suns painted up in their sort of spectral, ghostly colours. Got that colour scheme down. That's been loads of fun. It's very easy paint scheme, but it's really effective. Managed to put together Ahriman, the new Ahriman miniature. Bloody gorgeous on his disc of Zeech. Just amazing. You know, it captures so much of the essence of that character. Alongside him, I put together the new Fabius Bile miniature. And I've got him base coated. I need to sit and paint him properly. He, again, absolute stunner. It's got like all of the arrogance of Fabius Bile. He doesn't look like he's in the midst of battle. He looks like he's in the aftermath and he's just striding through the carnage, you know, looking for what he wanted. Beautiful, beautiful miniature. So there was that. What else have I been doing? Lots of reading. So the Thousand Suns Codex, obviously, which we've talked about at length on this podcast already. But also the Orc Codex. I got the new Orc Codex, which, Adam, you've got to read.
I need it.
You do. It's, you know, my own prejudices aside, which is always towards chaos, obviously. It's probably one of the best Ninth Ed codexes going.
Okay.
It's just brilliant. I mean, everything they've done is right. This army is wonderful. Not only, I mean, first of all, it's a joy to read. I mean, it's like the Orc codices are always fun, aren't they? Apart from that third ed one where they tried to take them grimdark and it didn't work.
Yeah, that was so weird.
That was weird. They've not done that here. Everything is a laugh. Everything is funny. Even when it starts to go down like the more grimdark stuff, you know, when it's talking about Garthkull and the Wargs and the fact that he's the prophet of Morkungork, there's always a joke.
Yeah.
To soften it, to leaven it. There's always a joke. And I love that. I love it to bits. I mean, the chapters of the book, like Orky Know What's, that's one of the chapters of the book. That Old Ways is one of them. You know, it's just joyous. And it's so... I mean, all of the armies that have been released in Ninth Ed thus far have been the Grimdark armies, you know. It's been the Drakari, it's been the Death Guard, it's been the Thousand Suns, the Dark Angels, you know, the Iron Hands. All the dark stuff has been released. This is a wonderful leavening agent. As the Orcs have always been in 40k, they've always been that. They've been the joke army, and they've been the laugh, and that's what they are. It's not just in the book. I mean, the book is great, but it's also in the army list. I mean, there's loads of ridiculous, silly stuff in this army, but which is also really effective. It's fun, but it's really bloody effective. I mean, they've had like just a mass upgrade across the board. This mass upgrade. Every Orc has got about 3 attacks base now. So they're nuts. Toughness 5. All of them have got toughness 5, apart from the likes of the Grots and the Gretchen, obviously. So they're actually... Oh
man, I want a Gretchen with toughness 5.
A Gretchen with toughness 5. Well, you've got Makari in here. Makari's got a 2+ save.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is pretty good. That's pretty good.
Whichever Makari it is.
Yeah, that's my favourite thing in this book. There's just a little... I don't know if it's been in any of the previous Orc codices, but I've never read it before. The whole thing with Makari in the previous books was that he's just this supernaturally lucky Gretchen that survives everything. It's not true. This book points out that it's not true. There's actually been 7 Makaris, and the thing is, Garthkull is so attached to him that when a Makari dies, the other war bosses of the Goth clan just sort of like very sneakily just dress up another Gretchen and shove him into Makari's role. Which has created the legend of this supernatural Gretchen. Which, of course, for the Orcs means that he kind of is. Because if the Orcs believe something, it happens.
Yeah, so the more of them that get put into the role, the more lucky they become.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And that's they've really gone hard for that in this book.
Yeah?
Like, really hard. It really does point out how, like, you know how the Death Skulls is really cool. The way they paint themselves blue because Orcs think it's lucky.
Yes.
It works. It actually works. So they get, like, special saves because they're painted blue.
That's brilliant.
And they believe that red ones go faster. So there is a red paint scheme that makes things go faster. So ridiculous.
Love it.
So ridiculous. I love it to bits. They've got more characters, I think, than any army. Like, more special characters than any army. There's
No. Genestealer Cult has more special characters than any army.
Genestealer Cult's not got any, like, characters, like special characters.
Oh, named characters.
Yeah, this has got more named characters than any army.
Oh.
You've got Boss Zagstruck. You've got that new one who's basically a Captain Ahab, the Captain Ahab, or Boss Snickrot, Mad Dog Grot Snick is in here. We've got Zodgrod Wartsnagger, Mozrog Scragbad. There's loads of characters in here. Captain Badruck, who's the Freebooters pirate character.
I was going to ask about the Freebooters.
They're great fun.
Because
They are basically... They're the orcs that are so rambunctious and so, like, individualistic that they can't find a place in a clan. They can't even function within normal orc society. So you can imagine how bad they are.
Well, that's how they were in Warg the Orcs.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. That was how the Freebooters worked. And
That's what they're like.
I've got a soft spot for the Freebooters. I love them so much.
Yeah,
and yet you don't have an army for them, do you?
Shut up.
The new miniatures. Have you seen the miniatures for them, which came out in the last Orc Codex, I believe?
Yes, yeah.
Beautiful. They're basically like the old Rogue Trader models, but updated.
Yeah. Which is, I think, one of the reasons I've got such a soft spot for them is...
They are lovely. I mean, they are really beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, the army list is great. I mean, I can see this... It's obviously new, so it hasn't really had a chance to make a proper impact yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see this being up there with the Drukhari.
Wow.
Easy.
Yeah. So,
there are going to be some killer lists from this.
So the question is then, are you going to start an orc army? Are you going to get a McFarlane orc? Are you going to go green?
They're not my army, but I think they're great. I really enjoy reading about them, and I'm going to enjoy playing against them, I think. I mean, look at that. Each of the clans are a big thing in this. You know how the clans went away in 3rd Ed?
Yes.
They just sort of got rid of them, and orcs were just like this brown mass.
Yeah.
They've gone hard on the clans in this one. The clans are everything in this one.
Thank God.
Each of the clans has a culture with a K. A warlord trait, they have a stratagem and a relic. Like the Goths culture is no mucking about, which is great, yeah?
That's fair.
And their warlord trait is proper killy. It's just brilliant. Everything has got a comedic name, which is I love. Death Skulls, they were always my favourite. If I was going to do an orc clan, it'd be them. I love the Death Skulls. Lucky Blue Gits is their clan, their culture. Lucky Blue Gits.
Lucky Blue Gits.
Freebooters are a clan now.
That makes sense.
So they're an army now.
Yeah.
How cool is that, right?
That makes me very happy, because I mean the only freebooter army that I know existed was White Dwarf 105s, 106, something like that. We're going back a long, long way to get a full freebooter army.
Mm-hmm. So they are a proper army now, which is awesome, as they used to be once upon a time. Way back when. I just love it. The book was just fun to read. I think I read it in one go. I just could not put it down because it is. It's a big one as well. It's not as big as the Space Marine Codex, but it's definitely, of the codices that have been released thus far, this is the second biggest.
It's nice to see them getting a little bit of love, because the last Orc Codex...
They've needed it, haven't they?
The last one annoyed me greatly. And the fact that it was just basically the Codex from before, copied and pasted.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, you can even do this. There's a really weird special rule that I didn't even know they could do. It's something that I don't even think was up on Warhammer Community. You can take specialist mobs. So... you can take like the different mobs from your army, which are the units effectively, and you can swap out their clan culture for a specific specialty. So you can make them into pyromaniacs, for example. There's one called Boom Boys, which basically makes all of their blast weapons more powerful, that kind of thing. Sneaky Gits, which makes them more sneaky, obviously, Horrible Gits, that upgrades your Gretchen. It's just it's a way of specialising particular units for doing different jobs, and also you can sort of customise them. It's a modelling opportunity as well.
Oh man, I mean, one of the cool things about having an orc army is the amount of customization that you want to do with them.
There's so
actually having the rules allow it. Yes,
honestly,
absolutely.
It's mad. It is absolutely mad. And they've also got that weird thing where they've got like the vehicles that can be upgraded, so you can just they've just got this long list of upgrades, basically, and you can just stick stuff onto them.
Oh, yes.
Which is awesome, right? I mean, it's awesome. They've got such a long list of vehicles here. It's unbelievable. On top of that, you've got all the new stuff as well. So you've got
the beast snaggers.
The beast snaggers, yeah. It's really, really cool. It's a great book.
I need to get me some beast snaggers and turn them into iron jaws.
Yeah, Garthkull is a beast, as you'd imagine. But he's really straightforward. He's not like, say... He's not like Fabius Bile or like Magnus, where you have to think about how you use them.
Mm-hmm.
You just chuck him forward.
He's just a battering ram.
Yeah, he's just a giant battering ram. There's nothing complex about him at all, and nor should there be.
No. You don't want him to be throwing out loads of like domino buffs or anything like that. You want him to be...
Which he doesn't.
No, you just want him going forward, inspiring terror and smashing things.
Well, I mean, at his you know, he gets more attacks the more he's wounded, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And each attack does a base 4 damage, so...
Out of interest, can you, if you wanted to, could you damage him yourself?
What, Garthkull?
Yeah, like, could you, if you owned him, could you get, like, a squad to shoot him so he gets the buff?
No, I don't think you could do that.
Okay. I wondered if there was, like, a way that you could effectively use up some of your attacks and be like, okay, this unit is going to do nothing, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack him, get his attack up, beef his attack, and then destroy whatever it is that's the bigger threat.
I think, like, in the background, no orc would dare. No awkward. Have you seen the size of him since he got his head chopped off and then stapled back into a basically a dreadnought body? I guess there's nothing. Is there anything there against it in the rules that says you can't do? Because if it's not in the rules that specifically says you can't shoot your own units, then that might be a way to. I don't think get free buffs. Can you? I don't think you're allowed to shoot your own units, are you? I don't think it's ever been stated, to be honest. Because when would you? This would be a time when you would, if you want to get extra damage. Yeah, I suppose so. But there you go, big brain strats for the players out there who are going to go to tournaments and have someone say, "Oh, you can't do that," and be like, "Where's the saying the rules, bro? Where's the saying the rules? I can't do that, bro. Show me." You know the worst thing about him is the thing that's going to make him really difficult to shift. He can only take a maximum of 4 damage every phase. What? Yeah. You can only wound him 4 times a phase, so he's hard to take down. Oh my god. Yeah, that's pretty. The Primarchs don't even have that. What the hell? Yeah, he's a bad one. Is this power? No, he's not. He's Gaskell. He's Gaskell. Yeah. Is this power creepy? Because this sounds like it might be a little power creepy in some way. It's like a lot of the Ninth Ed codices. You can see the strengths of it, but you can also see how to handle these guys. Okay. Their armor is generally, barring like really specialist units, for shit. It's really not good. So the mass shooting will be devastating against them. Against armies like the Thousand Sons, which have got like most of their shooting is those Inferno Bolters, which are -2. They're just like most units aren't going to get a save against them, like none. Mm-hmm. So there are ways of dealing with them. Any army that dishes out loads of mortal wounds, these guys are not going to do well against. Blast weapons. These guys are not going to do well against blast weapons at all. Yeah. So like Astra Militaria, really good against them. Dracaria probably going to be pretty good against them, but then Dracaria good against pretty much everyone. And until the orcs get into hand-to-hand combat, and then Dracaria just get snapped to bits. Yeah. That's it. These guys, when they hit your lines, they're going to rip you to bits. The Death Guard, I imagine, would go pretty well against them toe-to-toe. Yes, they would, because the Death Guard would take away one of their major benefits, which is their toughness. Mm-hmm. With their Contagions ability, which does the -1 toughness debuff. Yeah. The Death Guard would actually be a really good one to take against these guys. So what you're saying is that you want to have Nurgle orcs, and then the world is yours. Well, Nurgle is big and green. I can imagine the orcs mistaking a Great Unclean One for Mork, or like a manifestation of Gork or something like that. Never forget
there was a point where orcs could have chaos cults.
Yeah, they could. There was a time. Yeah, there was a time, and there were these special rules that were printed in a White Dwarf where you could have demons as part of any army.
Yep.
Where they because they manipulated and possessed certain sub factions or whatever, and you could have like Nurgle orcs if you wanted them.
Yep, you could. But then again, that's the same era which had Chaos Gene Sealer cultists.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bah.
But no, I mean, I think Adam in particular, you're going to go nuts over this codex. It's really good.
Yeah, I think if I can get a couple of bits of art sold this month, I'm going to get myself that book.
As you know, this is probably the best Orc codex there's been for, probably since the Second Ed codex.
Yeah, the Second Ed is like a masterpiece of joy.
It's really good fun, isn't it? This captures.
So
that's
happy.
what this felt like when I was reading through it. This has got that sense of humour running all the way through.
Now, funny you should say that, because I've seen a couple of people mention this, that each codex feels like it's from a different era.
Yeah.
So the Drukhari feels like it's very Third Ed.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of the feeling of it, not the tiny amount of paper, thankfully, but it's got a lot of the feeling of Third Ed. You said the Orcs feels like Second Ed. The Space Marine one, somebody said it feels like Fifth Ed. And it's interesting that they're managing to tie themselves into their own history like that.
Yeah, that is fascinating, isn't it? I would say the Thousand Suns Codex feels like the ROC days.
Yeah.
It's
I
got
remember you saying that, yeah.
all that, that flavour, that raw flavour, just everywhere.
I mean, if you just look at the credits page and see who write them, might be interesting.
Yeah,
That's actually an interesting question. Are there credits pages in the new codexes?
I doubt it.
I doubt
Because
it. I don't
they-
think there are.
Because I know that Games Workshop stopped crediting people to... Weirdly enough, and this is the reason for it from what I understand, it's not so people don't become famous, it's to protect them online.
It's to protect them online, isn't it? Because they were getting harassed,
Well, you look at... what's his name? Matt Ward. You look at everything Matt Ward went through.
Yeah.
And as much as I don't like the work that Matt Ward did...
It's not on, is it?
No.
It's ultimately a hobby. Get over
Yeah.
it, If you don't like a book, well, that's the way. And don't get me wrong, I understand constructive criticism, I really do. And if a bad book is produced, if it is a rushed piece of work, then fine, have at the book, but have at the product, yeah?
Yes.
Have
absolutely.
at the product.
Yeah, you go for the work, not the person.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
Unless
not how,
that
that's
person is
not how
J.K.
social
Rowling.
media works. And to be fair, there should be exceptions to that. There shouldn't be, even if you don't like the person.
No.
To be fair.
Yeah, you go after J.K. Rowling because she's J.K. Rowling, not because Harry Potter's a terrible series of books.
I would say you shouldn't go after people generally across social media.
No, I agree with you there. You should go after them in person. With a spear in your hand, riding a pig. That is the only time it's acceptable. Do you disagree with me, Andy?
I think what I'm really interested in now is seeing where this goes. Like, they do the meta watch thing at the moment, don't they? Where they actually do tell you what's doing well and where. I can see this, once it's established and once people start playing it, I can see this, shooting right up there.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. I've got a couple of different places I go to see where armies stand in the worldwide rankings, and I'm very interested to see where the orcs go.
Yeah, I think if they can really catch that zeitgeist, and I think they have. I think they've done it really well. People seem to be excited by this book. Then,
you've got the Great White Squig, which is
who is awesome,
genius.
by the way.
Yeah.
I love him as a character as well. He's a war boss technically, but he's not. He doesn't give a toss about other orcs or about conquest or anything. He's just a hunter, and other orcs tend to follow him because they worship him because he's such a good hunter. But he doesn't care. He's not interested.
This is the type of stuff that I wish 40k did more of these days, which is mine Earth history and Earth fiction, take something and just completely and utterly 40k it, and then run with it. Taking Ahab and making this orc character is just beautiful. It just takes me so far back to being a teenager. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, it is cool. And he's a great, beautiful miniature as well. Real stunner.
Mm-hmm.
Although, for me, I think my favourite new miniature from the range is the Zodgrod Wartsnagger. I think he looks great.
I want it. Need it. Need it for a weird knob.
I love the fact that no other orcs like Zodgrod Wartsnagger, because they find his notion of positive reinforcement for Gretchen to be un-orky.
Mm-hmm.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff, isn't it? How's the Thousand Suns coming along, George?
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm really enjoying them. And have you seen what's been happening in the general culture with the Thousand Suns? There's been a lot more people playing them on on the YouTube channels and whatnot. And what people are saying, I've watched a couple of battle reports with them. People are saying, you know what, this Codex is a sleeper hit. It's a sleeper hit. It doesn't appear. When you first play it and you first read it, you might not think that it's, say, up there with the Drakari, but there are things you can do with it that make it like that. It's such a weird codex, for one thing. It's a weird army. The way that it plays is very strange. The emphasis of it is very strange. It doesn't really occur on the same spectrum as the other codices in terms of power level.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can make it work for you, it's a stunner. It's a stone cold stunner. And I have managed to get in a few just mini games with certain units and whatnot. I'd tell you, some of them are insane. The Scarab Occult Terminators, that's a unit you build armies around. Because they are insane. They're probably some of the best Terminators in the game.
Okay.
Yeah, there's mixtures. First of all, they've got OBSEC. They're OBSEC Terminators with 3 wounds, which is madness. It's absolute madness. Beyond that, there are certain combinations of psychic powers and stratagems and buffs that mean they are basically one of those units that you point them at what you want deleted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it goes away.
Wherever they point, there's just a ever-expanding red mist.
Yeah, pretty much. They are... I've seen battles where they've taken the firepower of almost an entire army and come through it.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty damn amazing, I've got to say. But it's beyond that, beyond power level. With the Thousand Suns, what it is, it's how they play that's so good, because they feel like what they're supposed to be.
Yes.
Which is something I've seen in all the Ninth Ed codices thus far. They do. They've gone so hard on character and role-playing in these codices.
They've gone really hard on bridging that gap between what the lore says they are and what they are on the tabletop.
Yep.
And it's been the problem I've had with 40k for about the last 3 or 4 editions, where what's on the tabletop never felt like it connected to the lore. And this time round, they've hit it right on the head.
I think so. There hasn't been, touch wood, there hasn't been a duff one yet.
Mm-hmm.
The codices have all been good, and the top ones are the Alien and Chaos ones, which is a complete inversion of the way it's been for the last since
25 years.
Yeah, since 4th ed technically.
Yeah, maybe actually, that'll be about right.
It's brilliant. It's really wonderful to see. I was shocked to see the Death Guard up there just on the next tier beneath the Drakari.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to see the Imperium on the back foot.
It is. It really is. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the Space Marine codices are great.
Mm-hmm.
The core Space Marine Codex is an absolute masterpiece. It's really brilliant. It is just genuinely brilliant. But the supplement codices are wonderful too.
Now, when am I going to get my Space Sharks? That's the big question I've got.
Just make them. Just make them up. Take whatever supplement codex you like, or whatever chapter tactics you like, and make them up.
It would have to be Space Wolves instead of having the werewolf people. It's just sharks in power armor.
Well, go for it. Why not?
That'd be so good.
Absolutely, why not? Well, the basis is there, isn't it? And the mechanism is there as well.
Oh yeah, that Space Marine Codex goes a long way to help you build your own chapters.
Go by a country mile, and each of the supplement codices has a page that allows you to like use the stuff from both the supplement and the main codex to make your own chapters from.
Yeah. You can do founding chapters, not founding chapters, successor chapters very, very easily from.
Very easily.
I mean, I haven't read any of the supplement books yet, but that Space Marine Codex is incredible.
It's really, the supplement books are great. They've just expanded, because of course now they've got their own supplements, they've been able to expand them massively. So they have things like their own psychic power laws, they've got their own chapter tactics, warlord traits, everything you could possibly imagine, plus massively expanded background.
Yes.
It's really good. My favourite of them thus far has been the Dark Angels one, which is, my prejudice anyway, because I love the Dark Angels. And the Iron Hands.
I see, that surprises me. I wouldn't have thought Iron Hands would have been something that grabbed your interest.
Yeah, the Iron Hands are really good. They're just fascinating. There's like a whole section in there that talks about how nearly the entire chapter went rogue at one point. Just because of a bit of corrupted scrap code that infiltrated their bionics from Mars and twisted their minds. And it resulted in this chapter-wide internecine war.
That's very cool.
It's really brilliant, isn't it? I mean, really genuinely brilliant.
Oh man, I could run with that and do so many things.
Yeah, right?
Virus.
I'm thinking like Iron Hands, but they're all in hexadecimal colours.
Oh, God, that would be so cool.
Just like proper metallic reds and all with a little dramatic face.
That would be amazing.
Oh my God, I want to do that now. I want to do it so badly.
That would mean you'd need to sculpt a lot of dramatic faces, or have a 3D printer.
You would need to sculpt a lot.
Well, there's a 3D printer I've got my eye on that's 150 quid.
I thought we talked like not too many months ago about like, you should get a 3D print, and you're like, no, they're way too much money.
No.
Look where we
but then one came out for 150 quid that's got really good reviews. If I can get enough commissions between now and Christmas, I might have to get myself that for Christmas.
Buy stuff from Gruff so he can get a 3D printer, and then he can tell you if the 3D printer's worth getting for yourself.
Yes, buy my art, buy commissions, and if
you're not just giving Gruff money, you are getting something.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do your commission. I'm very well priced for art commissions. You can see art commissions on adnickel.weebly.com. You can see all the art I've done. You can buy prints. Go on.
You could just send him money if you really wanted.
He's going to need it, because there's a lot of stuff coming in the pipeline if the rumours are to be believed.
What, do you want to get into the rumours?
Yeah, shall we get into them? There's been like there was a dump, wasn't it? There was just like this gigantic mass of rumours that were just dropped.
Yes.
But they seem to be coming from really credible sources. Like the people who have dropped these rumours and who are repeating them are people who are like right 99.9% of the time.
Yeah. And a few of these things hurt me.
Yeah, I bet they do. I bet they bloody do.
In a good way, though.
Yeah, but in the best possible way. I mean, some of it's obvious. So, like, some of the obvious stuff is, the Gene Stealer cults are coming, the Custodians are coming. Well, yeah, clearly they're the armies that have got full miniatures ranges, quite easy to produce. So, yeah, that's obvious.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is a little less obvious, though. Apparently, Chaos Space Marines will be next year.
Yep.
And because a lot of the cult-specific stuff, like the god-specific stuff, has been moved into their own books now, they're going to flesh them out with a lot of the stuff that people have been asking for forever. So you're going to be... Apparently there's going to be Traitor Guard in there to bulk them out.
That'll be cool.
Do you think they're finally going to use the models from Blackstone Fortress?
Yes, apparently there's going to be Traitor Guard. There's going to be, like... There are going to be human mutants, so that's something people have been after for years from Chaos, because they've always been in the background. Hordes of human mutants is what Chaos uses. Gigantic sort of human possessed that are apparently supposed to be really nasty.
Like the Galapox infected style.
Yeah, kind of like the big, bulky, nasty mutants.
I am going to struggle so much if they start doing proper Galliplox infected style stuff everywhere.
Well, that proved so popular. I mean,
Yeah.
the stuff from Blackstone Fortress proved so popular. That was clearly the tester, right?
Absolutely.
That's where they're going to be taking the, the sort of, I hesitate to use the term, but like the vanilla, undivided chaos stuff.
Yes.
That's where they're going to be taking it, without a shadow of a doubt. That's the aesthetic. That's what people want. And if they are doing what I think they're doing, where you're going to have like the cult-specific stuff all in its own books, which is another rumor, by the way. The World Eaters apparently are the next cult book.
Yeah.
The friggin' World Eaters. I mean, it's an obvious one. Long time coming. People have been screaming for the new Khorne Berserkers for God knows how long.
Never going to happen.
But yeah, they're going to get their own book, and they deserve it, don't they? Really?
I look forward to seeing this book full of brand new miniatures, and it's still the old Khorne Berserkers.
That would be like one of the biggest missteps they could possibly do.
Nope, I think it would be beautiful.
No one would be upset. No one.
Nope, not a single person, and I would be happy. I would be so happy I would be raised to godhood that moment.
You know what would make it worse? If they were like, oh, guys, we're going to re-release the Khorne Berserkers again. Like, oh, the new model. No. Going to do the old ones. And they're like, oh, in resin. And they're like, oh.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Sorry, fine cast. Let's get it right.
Oh, my God.
So it's the old ones, but they've all got like another sprue with different heads on it. But the heads are all modern day proportions.
But the funny thing is, you look at the Khorne Berserkers you've currently got, the ones that are like 20 years old, and you compare
And the rest,
you compare them to like the way the aesthetic of Khorne has changed. Like if you compare them to the Blades of Khorne miniatures, and it's just so different now.
Yeah, massively
It's
is.
so different. They really do need to do something with them. And obviously, if they're doing World Eat as well, Angron is the obvious thing to do.
Well, we
I'm
haven't
telling
had a
you right
Primarch
now.
for ages either, have we?
We haven't.
I'm telling you right now, they'll release the World Eaters, and that's when a certain snake-styled Primarch will reappear.
The thing is, they're going to have to, aren't they? My guess is, from what we've heard, the core Chaos Space Marine Codex is going to be more like the Space Marine Codex, and it's going to deal with the vanilla chapters, right? It's going to deal with all the legions, rather. It's going to deal with the Undivided Legion, so it's going to be Black Legion, Word Bearers, Night Lords, Alpha Legion, and Iron Warriors, and the Renegade chapters and whatnot. And possibly, maybe, you may get supplement books for it, although maybe not, I don't know. But the cult legions, your Emperor's Children and World Eaters, they're going to get their own books.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, they've been building up to it. The release of that Noise Marine, that was a suggestion that's what they're doing. With all the stuff that's happened with Slanesh in AOS.
Yep.
It's kind of clear, isn't it, that is going to be the case. But it looks like all the scuttlebutt says that World Eaters are going to be first.
Which I wouldn't have seen coming, to be honest.
I wouldn't either, because they've been building up Fulgrim and the Emperor's Children for a long time, not just in the rumours, but the background.
They've been building up Fulgrim since we started this show.
They have. He's been turning up again, and he turned up in like the Psychic Awakening, didn't he?
He fucking did as well.
Right,
it's ridiculous.
They've got to be doing something with him. But again, Angron returning is a big deal. Again, it's another Primarch, and that's always a big deal. But Angron is different from all of the others because he's not like Magnus or Mortarion. He doesn't scheme. He doesn't sit and make plans. He's a force of nature. If he drops, then it's an apocalypse. Wherever he drops, it's just like it's a cataclysm.
Yeah. I'd be very interested to see where they went with Angron, how they bring him back, and what's the story that does it? What does he look like?
Well, I mean, if he's like the artwork that we've seen of Demon Angron, he's going to be amazing. I mean, the stuff we've seen, he looks a bit like a Bloodthirster, but massive, and he's got the butcher's nails. The tubes of the butcher's nails, they come out of his skull and go down his back in a mane.
Yeah.
He looks incredible. Really Baroque armor, big demon sword.
I would much rather that they brought him out and he was tiny.
What if they bring him out and he's just really chilled out and he looks like Garfield?
That would be chilled out Angron. I don't even. What would that even look like?
The only thing that makes him angry is Mondays. He has a berserker who he calls John, who he, fiendishly turns into a Cthulhian monster around.
He's not entirely mindless, I don't know whether they'll ever retain this, but yeah, he's not entirely mindless.
I wasn't sure if you meant Garfield.
Garfield, well, if you according to the internet, Garfield is a Lovecraftian.
Oh, he is. He's a monster.
Yeah. Oh yeah, total monster. But yeah, I don't know whether they'll retain this, but in the Second Ed Codex, in the story of the First War for Armageddon, Angron gives Logan Grimnar a salute. For his ferocity in battle. He actually rather likes Logan Grimnar.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
Conflict makes strange bedfellows.
Yeah, clearly. Clearly. But I can't wait to see that. I mean, he's going to be huge. I mean, he's going to be just enormous. So
what if they release just like a leg? He's too big to actually fit in the battlefield, so they just release a pair of legs.
No, he's going to be a build-a-figure. Is that what you're saying?
No, they never released the rest of him.
Oh, no.
He's too big.
That would be perfect for you, because he could make it into the foot of Gork.
Well, now I want this to happen.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I keep thinking about trying to get to one of those really big World of Warcraft figures. And then just cutting the leg off, throwing the rest of the figure away, and just having the foot.
You mean the World of Warcraft movie figures, which are like £2, and even then you're probably overspending. Yeah, that could work, actually.
Because, I mean, the feet on them are like twice the size of the average Iron Jaw, so that would do.
That's actually a really cool idea.
I mean, there's a lot of other stuff implied by it as well. I mean, assuming all this is true, then that means there will be, just as there has been for like the Thousand Sons and the Death Guard, there'll be the cult-specific Terminators and stuff like that. For the one thing they've got to do as a specialist, they need to do like the butcher surgeons that have been in the background for the World Eaters forever, the ones who actually perform the lobotomies. On
Would
new
they
recruits.
perform like apothecaries?
Yeah, they were. Okay. That's right. Yeah, they were once apothecaries, but what they do now is they rip the skulls open and put the butcher's nails inside to make them into frothing berserkers. I mean,
what role do they have on the table, though?
I'd assume they're going to be. They would be like apothecaries, but they would also have the same qualities. You know, the guys with the whips in the Blades of Corn. That drive the surrounding warriors into a frenzy, a deeper frenzy.
So they'd be like a maybe healer buffer unit kind of thing.
That's it. That's what they'd be, definitely. A bit like the plague surgeons in the Death Guard. That's what I'd imagine anyway. But it also implies all of that stuff for the Emperor's children when they eventually turn up.
I've just had a thought.
Oh no.
And I've said this for a while now, that the fact that Terminators haven't been Primarist makes me really sad, because it's a shame to lose the Terminators.
Yeah.
However, the Chaos Legions wouldn't lose them.
Nope. They would still have the same template and everything.
That could be a really cool way of keeping the Terminator design alive.
All they've really done with the Chaos ones is they've diversified them, so they've got much more character than they used to. You know, when they were just generic Chaos Terminators and they were just like Terminators with spikes on?
Yes.
Now they've looked at like what style of armor those legions would be wearing. So like the Scarab Occult Terminators are wearing a perverted form of I think it's Cataphracti armor, I believe.
Yes.
The same for the Blight Lords for the Death Guard. They're very perverted, obviously, for the Death Guard. Very perverted. But it is recognisably Cataphracti armour.
I'm suddenly very happy.
That's really clever, isn't it? I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the Chaos Legions would, like the classic Legions, would obviously have that style of armour more than any other.
Yeah, of course they would.
That makes sense. I like that. I like the fact they're paying that attention to it. And I hope they continue in that vein.
Yeah, same here, because, as I've said multiple times, I find it really sad that the Terminators probably will just kind of vanish over time now. Because they're not going to make Primaris Terminators. That's become quite obvious.
How would they? I mean, it would be too much, surely, because they're too big, aren't they? They're too, like... It wouldn't... I don't know how they would actually fit those into a role.
Couldn't
Well, I
they
mean,
do
the
them
primary is
similar to
having
the Possessed or something for the
I suppose they
Chaos?
could.
Like
Make
a
them
group
really
of 3 or
hyper
something.
rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
hyper rare, almost like characters in an elite slot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually, because that's essentially what Possessed are, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Right.
not a bad idea. Not a bad
Sure.
idea at all.
Should I get into the other rumour?
The big one, the really big one.
what?
Actually, the very small one.
They're very small, yes. Yeah. I keep laughing. So, those of you who pay attention to what I've been working on know that I've been working on squats.
Uh-huh.
I've made a tank. I've made a couple of units. I've got 2 heavy weapons units. I've got a assault unit. I've got a big tank. I've got a couple of characters, and it's really cool. I'm really enjoying making squats. Apparently, the rumour is that squats are getting a release. Squats are going to be coming back.
Apparently so, yeah.
Again, they do it to me. They did it to me when I made a Chaos Android army.
Yep.
Out of Space Crusade, and they released the Necrons.
Yep.
They did it to me when I made a complete clan Skiri army, and they released the Skaven book, where they had all the Skiri stuff to make it just a Skiri army by itself. So this is if this happens, I'm going to scream. Because it's starting to feel a little personal.
It's one of those things where veteran hobbyists are like, no way, because it's one of those things where people have been wanting it for ages, like since Rogue Trader.
Yes,
and it just hasn't happened. But there are there was a squat released for one of the other specialist games, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was 2 squats in Necromunda. There was one with a hammer and one with like an ammo jack.
It feels like, and given like what they've done in AOS with like the Caradron Overlords, who have this squat thing going for them anyway, and the popularity of them, translating that over into 40k makes an enormous amount of sense.
It does. It makes a huge amount of sense, and it makes me think that if they're really smart, they could have like a dwarf month or something where all the Duradin stuff comes out for AOS and the squat stuff comes out for 40k. If
they dovetail it correctly, they could really market that hard, and it could work. It could work really well. I mean, the squats would obviously be a different thing now.
Absolutely,
in 40k. They would change them, I imagine, quite significantly. But in what way, I'm not entirely sure. My guess is they'd be more like the Caradron Overlords.
My guess would be that they're going to really, really tie into the idea of mechanics without the religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a lot of what the squats were in the few times they turned up in the fiction.
Yeah.
Was, like, I ain't praying to it, I'm going to hit it with an hammer.
Yeah, they're much more pragmatic than the Omniscient,
Massively,
the Adeptus Mechanicus, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. I kind of hope that they take some of the Demigurg stuff on board, because the Demigurg really were quite cool. It's a shame that they never actually got anywhere with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, if they go full tilt into weird bikers and great big land trains, I'm going to be very happy.
That would be amazing. Yeah, I mean, like the land train models from Epic were great, weren't they?
Oh yeah. I mean, if that's where they went with it, where you've just got these like multi-faceted, multi-jinking vehicles with tons of different stuff on the back, then yeah, that's beautiful.
Big ordnance for these squats. Yeah, that would be great fun.
Yeah, 3 vehicles and you can like tie them all together or something. You know, that would be superb, and I would love that.
I would be fascinated to see where they fit them in terms of how they function. You know, like what role do they perform? Are they going to be more like the Astra Militaria, more like the Adeptus Mechanicus, or what?
I mean, one of the big things is I hope that they don't try to walk back the homeworlds being eaten by the Tyranids.
Yeah.
I would like them to leave that as is and make it one of the guiding forces behind what they're doing here.
I mean that's another thing, isn't it? Background-wise, where have they been? And how do they come back, so to speak?
Mm-hmm. I think it'll probably be tied into they've never really went away. I don't think they'll make a big reappearance. They're not going to suddenly be like, the Blood Angels are being beaten around by Tyranids again, and the squats turn up and carpet bomb them and go, "We are the saviors."
Yeah.
It'll be more like recently they've worlds have been reseeded by them, and
Yeah.
the Space Marines have found them and just gone, "You there, you're part of the Imperium." Like,
So it's just like they did with the Gene Stealer cults, yeah, when
Yeah.
they introduced them. It's like, well, they've always been there, so, don't need to mess
Yeah.
about with it too much.
absolutely, and there is a part of me that hopes it's true, and there's a part of me that hopes it isn't true.
Yeah.
Why would you hope it's not true, though?
Expensive for a start,
It's going to be really expensive.
because I know full well there'll be a Horde army.
Yeah.
Ah, that's
Then-
true, yeah.
Yeah, they're
Do you not
not.
think they'd go heavy equipment-wise? Like
Well, they
Imperial
might.
Guard, well, potential Imperial Guard-wise.
Actually, you make a good point, because if they did bring them back, the Throne Worlds, the Home Worlds were completely annihilated, so they're going to be a very small race now. So
Maybe that's
if,
the way they'll do it. Maybe they'll make them so that they're actually more like Imperial Knights, where they use their technology to make up for their lack of numbers or something.
Wait a fucking second. Do you guys remember about 2 years ago, maybe longer, there was a rumour kicking around about a dwarf mech in AOS?
No, but I'll take you one for it.
I can't quite remember. It was like a real also run rumour. It didn't really come into anything. I wonder if that was the start of this,
It's possible. It's entirely possible.
where it's a heavily mechanized army, where it's, instead of having lots and lots and lots of units on the table, it's a very small amount of units, all vehicles, all mech, so to speak.
Yeah, that would be fun, wouldn't it? That would be a really interesting way of characterizing them.
Yes, it would, and that would be me interested, very interested. But then I don't know. I suppose the Gene Stealer cult, it plays a lot of lip service to how the Gene Stealer cults worked back in the day,
Yeah.
but there's very little in the way of one-to-one correlation between the two.
There are not like one-to-one analogs or anything. They've really evolved them beyond that, haven't they?
Yeah, it always makes me sad that there isn't any Gene Stealer limousines anymore. Well, who the hell drives a fucking limousine into the middle of a battlefield?
Right. And also, I mean, like, all the weird hybrids you used to get back then, like between
Orc hybrids.
men and orcs and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eldar. Yeah.
Yeah, really strange, really bizarre.
God.
There's nothing stopping you doing that now on a model level. You can do that now perfectly
No.
well.
Apart from the fact that, was it orcs think that Gene Stealer cults smell weird, so they just instantly kill other orcs that are infected. The only other race that can ever really be culted is the Tau.
The Tau, yeah.
Because I think cause it's Eldar, you can't. They've tried it with Eldar and it doesn't quite work, because the Eldar just realise something's weird with the soul song and just exterminate anybody that feels wrong. Orcs do the same. Chaos, obviously, they're just like, come on in.
Chaos doesn't give a toss, you know.
No.
It's all fodder for Chaos, isn't it? You know?
It's why humans work so well for them.
I thought they would have been against it just because, like, the Hive fleets are so anti-warp. So
No, true.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
Very much
That's
against the
absolutely
cult getting
true.
in.
Yeah. That is true. You would likely find conflict between Chaos cults and Gene Stealer cults.
Yeah, I suppose it would be the Chaos cults would just be running faster than the Imperium. Kill them.
Yeah.
It's just this Imperial guards, which is like, what? What just happened there? As all these giant Chaos Space Marines just run past them. I'll get
Because
back to you later.
They're like one of the very few things that is an effective weapon against the Chaos Gods, aren't they?
Yeah.
The Shadow in the Warp.
I'm really liking the idea of like Thousand Suns just ignoring tons and tons of Astra Militarum and just, nope, get up your way.
Out of my way, peasant.
If you're really lucky, I'll come back and kill you later.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're very unlucky, we fail, and the big mouth comes and gets you.
You get eaten. God, what would be worse? Being, the thing with 1,000 Suns is they're not. Don't get me wrong. They are not like good guys or anything like that. But they are more tolerant than most Chaos factions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Psychic Awakening, Magnus put out this psychic call to draw human beings to Sorciarius, and it was sincere, it was like, come to us, Psychers, the outcast of the universe, come to us and find a sort of sanctuary here with us.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
I mean, okay, when, on Sorciarius, most human beings end up getting mutated and transformed anyway, just because of the way Sorciarius is.
And for every 9 that turned up, one had to be murdered.
One had to be murdered, yeah.
Yeah, that's the...
But they were honest about it, weren't they?
They were.
They were honest about it. It wasn't like they tricked them or anything.
No. I love that fact that you got to that planet, and it's just the sorcerer comes down and goes, right, well, there's 10 years, so one of you has to be murdered in order for the rest of you to go through.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, that's fine. I'm not gonna just kill you. You have to choose. But it's the only way you're getting through. So
is it only at the same time, or is it built up so like 8 go through 8 come at one time, and then like 2 more come like 3 weeks later?
It was really cool that no matter how many people were in the ship, due to infighting or disease or anything, there would always be 10 that turned up at the planet.
There would always be 10. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it was fated in quotations.
Yeah.
To be like that. Okay.
Which I always quite enjoyed that. I think that's quite a nice one. That the sorcerer in that story just stands there and goes, I don't know why that happens. It just does.
It's really interesting as well as, and he talks to them, doesn't he? He actually talks to them like a person,
Yeah. He doesn't rant or rave.
He's not a monster,
No, he just has a chat. He has a bit of a natter. Explains the situation.
Fact that there is like, bizarrely, to talk of servants of Tzeentch in terms of sanity is an odd thing, but there we are. They seem to be some of the more reasonable Chaos Space Marines.
I suppose when the alternative is like, I'm going to eat your cat, and then your face, and then your cat again,
They're probably one of the ones that are more likely to lie to you, depending on who they are.
Yes, that's also true. That's also true.
That's the problem with Tzeentch. It's like, I'm a person. I'm happy to have a conversation, but I'm gonna lie.
Considering that the Thousand Suns Codex actually has like a character, he's not a playable character, but he's a character in the background called Tusaba, who is the prince of all lies. He's like the embodiment of falsehood. So and this is great fun. I was saying this to Adam in a message recently. It talks about how he's like one of the big grand masters of the cult of duplicity, and even when his name is written down, it changes into something else. So in the Codex, when it's describing it, I thought it was a printing error. It's not. Whenever they print his name, it's different.
Ah, that's cool.
It's cute, isn't it? It's really cute.
I love stuff like that so much.
I bet him and the Deceiver would get on really well, wouldn't they? They'd have a good old natter.
Oh my god, yeah. But I loved that. I thought that was so cute and so much fun.
Which one would be better at Uno?
It depends. Which version of Uno are you using? Are you using the one that's... Is it 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, 8-dimensional?
Well, if it's on Tzeentch's plane, it would be all-dimensional, and I don't think the Catan Deceiver would mind either way because he's a god. So
yeah, he'd be all right. He'd be fine.
Yeah.
I imagine him and Tzeentch probably do get on all right,
You'd think so, yeah. Are the Catan equal to the Chaos Gods? I'm never quite sure.
No.
Catan more?
They might have been once upon a time, like way, way back when they fought the war in heaven. But now they're not even coherent.
Yeah. Well, the Catan are broken for the most part, aren't they?
They're broken into shards, yeah. And even then, they're not the same type of god. I know that's a weird thing to say, but they're not the same type of god because they are not linked to the warp.
Yeah, they're not a metaphysical god, are they? They're more of a tangible one, I suppose.
The way they're described is really weird. They're like the expressions of the functions of the universe.
You mean the Chaos Gods, you mean?
No, the
Oh, the Catan.
The Catan, yeah.
Okay.
They're like elemental aspects of the material universe, whereas the Chaos Gods are expressions of emotion and abstraction, and they depend upon like the perceptions and the mental processes of conscious beings, whereas the Catan don't.
The Catan could live
anyway.
without people existing, but the Chaos Gods require life to exist.
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
That's absolutely it. The Catan just like they feed on life in a really strange, bizarre way, but not in the same way that the Chaos Gods do.
I suppose it's the difference between being born of the universe and being born outside of the universe, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really bizarre. The Chaos Gods are more expansive and they're more abstract, and they've got way more influence than the Catan have, but they don't have as much direct power over the material universe as the Catan do. Like the Catan can, even the shards can literally like call down the heavens, you know?
Yeah, it's the Katana gods through power, whereas the Chaos
Elemental
gods
power,
are yeah. Also, the Chaos gods are more gods through godhood.
Well, yeah,
I know what I'm trying to say
Chaos
there.
Gods are like the Chaos Gods are more like classical gods in many respects.
Yeah, it's the difference between something being so unrecognizable and unreadable that it gets classified as a god, compared to what you actually classify biblically as a god.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one.
It's an odd one. I mean, the fact that there are different species of god. I mean, you get it in AOS as well, obviously, because there are different species of god. There's the Chaos Gods, and then there's the gods like Sigmar and like Nagash, who have become gods.
Alariel, who is a god through, birth, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, without Alariel, there is no seasons and rebirth.
Right. Morathai, who is a self-made goddess.
Yeah.
Like Nagash, like Nagash is.
Nagash is also the god of self-actualization.
In his own weird way, I suppose he is. Well, I mean, that's what's so impressive about Nagash, the fact that he was a mortal. Once upon a time, and he he crafted his own godhood in a way that Sigmar never did.
No, Sigmar was a god through accident more than anything else.
Right, he was kind of born a god, wasn't he? Whereas Nagash wasn't. Nagash was a boy. There's stories in the old Undead book, Warhammer Armies Undead, way back when, that actually talks about Nagash as a frightened little boy, visiting the tombs of Khemri and being scared of the images of death.
Yeah.
Nagash being like, I have a dream that I will never die. I have a dream, my brothers, that I will be the only one who doesn't die. You can all die, though.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda.
The way that you were describing Nagash's childhood there, all I could think of was the tall man from the Phantasm series, just the way you went, when he was a boy. You were just channeling some Angus Scrim there. I quite liked it, George.
Well,
Before necromancy, he was Matthew Colbert, the terror of Sooty from Sooty and Sweep. Then he discovered necromancy.
And that was the end. That was the end.
Oh, the beginning.
Of the end. Yeah.
I sacrificed Sweep on the altar of the gods.
No. He didn't sacrifice Sweep. He sacrificed Sue, because no one fucking likes Sue.
Because no one likes Sue, yeah. No one likes Sue.
What was the other little bear called?
Oh,
Scamp.
Scamp.
Oh, yeah. He was a bit of a shit as well, to be fair.
Yeah. Should have all been shot.
Oh my god, that would have been a dark episode of Sooty and Sweep.
Yeah,
have you seen the outtakes of Sooty and Sweep where things go wrong?
No.
It's really bloody funny. You get the actors, like, there's one where something isn't working. They've got, like, a present from a character called, Auntie so-and-so, and the actress playing Sue, staying in character, just goes, oh, bloody Auntie so-and-so!
I've got two things to now watch on my YouTubes this evening. Thank you for that.
There's rumours about the Custodes as well.
There is, yes. Apparently Custodes are getting next.
Yeah, apparently one of the things they're getting is army-wide heroic intervention.
Yes.
Which makes sense. Because that's what they are. They are like the Adeptus Custodes. They're the ultimate guards. They are made literally to bodyguard. So having heroic intervention makes enormous sense. It's a ready-made rule for them, isn't it?
Do you find it weird that the Custodes are an army now?
It is strange, isn't it? It's different from what they were, but they have like justified it in the fiction. You know, if you read the Dark Imperium books, there's this whole thing where Guilliman has to like politic with them and argue with them about how they have to stop their self-imposed isolation. You know, this oath that they swore to the Emperor millennia ago doesn't mean anything anymore, so they need to get up and get out and start doing stuff.
Yeah. It is one of those weird ones. We are the Emperor's bodyguard. Mm-hmm. All right, where are you off to? Mars. Bye. Mm-hmm. Oh, all right. See you later. Although there is a really cool short story where they're meant to be taking a chapter to their new world and went, hang on a second, your chapter appears to have rebelled. Time to kill us a ton of Space Marines.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
What's interesting about them is the way they regard the Space Marines as well. There is this real tension between them and the Space Marines.
Well, yeah, it's your younger brother who fucked up really bad. And by fucked up really bad, I mean killed billions.
Yeah, it's true. The Custodes were made by a form of science and occultism that was apparently much purer than the Space Marine legions. And they do regard them as lesser.
Well, they are, really.
They are. It's kind of inherently corrupt. And so always wary of them. And as a result of that, there's a genuine tension between them and Guilliman as well.
Who do you think the Custodes prefer? Do you think they prefer the Space Marines or the Thunder Warriors?
They killed all the Thunder Warriors.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like you think they wouldn't kill all the Space Marines?
Oh,
I think they do it.
I think they do it. Yeah, if they thought for 1 second that like something like the heresy would happen again or whatever, yeah, they would wipe out entire chapters.
I could justify them preferring the Thunder Warriors, right? Because they could look at the Thunder Warriors and go, "Well, you didn't kill billions, and you were an older generation, so the Emperor, you're a prototype basically.
Yeah,
so we can understand that." You Space Marines were meant to be the Emperor's main guys, and you messed up. You
screwed up
and you didn't just mess up just a little bit. You messed up everything.
Everything. Yeah.
So Thunder Warriors, realistically, they're just, they were the old furniture that needed to be taken out. You were the new furniture that exploded.
It's really true. In the books, they're really wary of the Primaris, like really wary of them, because they are obviously different from the Emperor's design.
Yeah. Stronger, flawed Space Marines? That sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. They do not know what to make of them at all. There's also like tension between the Primaris and the chapters they join as well, because the Primaris have been like... They've been around for the most part, not all of them, but for the most part, since the end of the heresy. And they don't like what's become of the chapters at all.
Yeah.
Because they become kind of degenerate, they become superstitious and they become mythologized, and they're like, I don't like joining in all these rituals. And it doesn't do it for me.
One of the things I quite like is the Primaris Space Wolves. Yeah. Because they go to Fenris and they're just like, the fuck are you wearing?
Yeah.
The fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Here, drink this crude oil. Why? I don't know. It might get you drunk. What?
It's the same thing happens with the Dark Angels. The Dark Angels have got a real problem with the Primaris. Because they've got to, at some point, induct the Primaris into the inner sanctum.
Come on, lads. Drink your blood.
Yeah, to do that, they've got to tell them what happened.
Yeah.
They've got to, the inner circle of the Dark Angels know what happened on Caliban with the Fallen. And telling the Primaris that is it's a risky venture. Because they could easily just go, Guilliman, they're traitors, kill them all.
Yep. I really want to see what happens to the first Primaris character that's inducted into the circle.
Oh, it's happened. There is a Primaris captain that was inducted into the circle.
Oh.
It's kept deliberately vague. But there's tension there. But of course, who's the current chapter master of the Dark Angels? Azrael.
Yeah.
Azrael knew it had to happen. Like it was just one of those where it was like, look, it's going to happen. We've got to do it. We've got to sort of bite the bullet here.
Yeah, to quote Omadon, it is inevitable.
Yeah. So they had to do it.
Which means that Azrael is now voiced by James Earl Jones. It's fine by me.
That's okay. It's all right. Yeah, I could go for that. Definitely go for that. But yeah, it's slowly happening, you know. But apparently, there's like a sinister twist in the new Dark Angels Codex where it talks about, you know, I mean, the Dark Angels do this anyway, where they use psycho conditioning techniques, and that's what they use to induct new members. So the suggestion is that they twist the minds of the Primaris Marines so they're more amenable to keeping the secret, you know.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of sinister.
I mean, the one that always abuses me is the Blood Angels. So the Primaris come down, and it's just like, right, my lord, I am here to serve. What the fuck are you wearing? Why do you look like Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Yeah.
Like, literally, what is this army you're wearing? Why is that guy drinking actual blood? Why has that guy got fangs longer than my hands? What is going on?
There's a character like that in the Dark Imperium books. He gets he's a Primaris of the Nova Marines, and he gets inducted into the Nova Marines, and he's sort of like, what is all this garbage? That's more or less the way he's thinking. It's like, why are they bothering with all this nonsense? They're supposed to be out there fighting, doing this and that, and they're fannying around in their monastery doing silly stuff, you know. It's the tension is genuine, you know. It's really strong.
The thought just occurred to me. Have the Grey Knights got Primaris?
No,
I didn't think so.
no, I don't think so. Anyway, no, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
The Grey Knights have stayed, like, you know, pure, I suppose.
The Grey Knights
perspective.
They keep pretending that nobody's in when Gulliman comes round to knock on the door.
Yeah,
I've got your delivery. No, we're not in. I can see you.
They've been so busy lately with one thing or another, the Grey Knights. They haven't had time to stop, you know?
That's it. Every time Gilliman and Kroll turn up to hand over the Primaris, they have to leave a little note through the door. Sorry we missed you. Because there's nobody at the Grey Knight's house.
Well, since the Cicatrix Maledictum, I mean, like, there's demons everywhere. And, like, high-profile demons as well.
Yeah. Where are the Grey Knights based?
I used to know this.
I've just realised that's a big hole in my knowledge. I don't actually know that much about the Grey Knights' history.
They used to be based in a very particular area. I think I can't remember what it is now.
Someone somewhere is screaming at us, so that's good.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. I can feel it in my mind, but I can't remember what it is.
Oh, I hope that somebody's blood pressure's raising now.
I mean, to understand where they come from, you've got to read the Solar Wars books. Because that's where the proto Grey Knights are created.
Yeah.
From the they're originally created from the remnants of the traitor legions that didn't turn traitor.
Yes.
So it's Captain
That's
Garrow.
right. Yeah.
It's who's the Sons of Horus one from the first book. What's his name? Loken. Garviel Loken.
There you go.
All those characters, basically.
Yeah.
They become the first Grey Knights.
Brain not work there at all.
So essentially, like, they are the chapterless. They're the ones who forego all of their own history and past and traditions.
And formed a new chapter. With new traditions.
Yeah.
Which are equally as silly, I suppose.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but the Grey Knights get really funky faceplates.
They
do.
They
do. Yeah. And they're really powerful as well. I mean, like, Grey Knights are bonkers powerful.
Yeah. Oh, there's one then. Grey Knights versus Orcs. Who wins?
They can all cast Smite, can't they? So it's like bloody Nora.
There's something very biblical about them. Yeah, just walking in, smiting away.
Well, there totally is, because they're witch hunters, you know? They are the ultimate smite the heretic Space Marines.
There needs to be more smiting in day-to-day life.
Barring, of course, the Black Templars who are coming up.
Yeah, Black Templars next. They're looking
lovely
really
new
nice.
Models.
Yeah.
Lovely new models, it's got to be said. And Helbrecht has crossed the Rubicon, hasn't he? He's become Primaris.
Yeah, straight out of the market. I think they're going to do this with everyone now. I think everyone's going to get
Space Marine chapter masters and all the chief librarians are going to get Primaris.
No. I think it's going to be anyone that Mark Gibbons has drawn a picture of. They're going to get Primaris.
They're going to get Primaris, okay.
which is going to be really interesting when it comes to some of the unnamed characters. It's just like, oh, that's just a space marine, but he's got Primarist. It's just, I want that little squig dog from the front of Lair of the Orc Lord to get Primarist.
I want the book. It is a supplement book, isn't it? It's a supplement for
yes.
Codex Space Marines, which makes sense. It does make sense. I mean, that's the whole point of having the core Space Marine Codex. I want to see the background. I want to know what they're doing and what their relationship is to the rest of the Imperium, because it's fractious, isn't it, now? It
is very fractious, because they're following a path that it doesn't seem to really fit with the rest of the Imperium anymore.
Well, the rest of the Space Marines, really. There's hardly another chapter out there that actually regards the Emperor as a god. Almost all of the others actually actively refute that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I can't see Guilliman being terribly happy with them. Or indeed many of the other chapters.
It'll be interesting to see if Guilliman tries to take charge of the Black Templars in any of the novels. Tries to redirect them.
It's really fascinating. At the end of Dark Imperium, he's in a really complex place because he doesn't like the fact that this god is coalescing around the Emperor, and he has communed with it. You know when he goes into the chamber to talk to the Emperor, it actually tells you what happens in this book. So spoilers, by the way, my loves, if you don't mind. Do you want to, or do you want to go read the book?
I've bought the book now, so I'm going to read it.
Okay, I won't give spoilers, but needless to say, it's really interesting because he communes with the abstract that's coalesced around the Emperor, and it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. But it also seems as though, because of the belief that's surrounding Guilliman as the son of the Emperor, miracles are happening around him as well.
That's going to piss him off so much.
Yeah, he's not best pleased.
He's walking around and flowers are growing under his feet. Oh, for fuck's sake, not again.
He's not a million miles away from that at the end.
Puts his hand out to is this your child? You've healed my baby. I didn't mean to.
Breaks his arm again.
Yeah. Every time I break this baby's arm, it heals. It's not fair. It's just they're snapping a baby's arm continuously.
Stop believing in me and the pain ends.
Or at least it won't. I'll stop doing it.
For my part, I just like how reasonable he is.
Gilliman's awesome. I mean,
way more reasonable than almost any of the other Primarchs, any member of the Space Marines, perhaps any member of the Imperium.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone painted bags under the model's eyes so you can get across that I'm really tired of this shit?
Yeah, that would be grand. I wish they would, because it really comes across in the books, I can tell you.
The entire sequence where he talks to the priest in the end of, I think it's Plague War.
Yeah.
And you can just tell it's like, I'm going to throw you out the window in a minute.
Yeah, that continues, actually. That does continue in the new book.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew, isn't it?
That's
the
the one,
priest,
yeah.
Matthew, yeah. He turns up again. A lot, actually.
That's
the worst thing is, though, because of the way the metaphysics of 40k works, he's kind of right.
Mm-hmm.
The people around the priest, they're on a world called Ajax, which is being just assaulted by plague. The whole world is toxic because of Mortarion's efforts. The priest, against Guilliman's wishes, takes an entire crusade out of these city walls, out into the polluted wasteland, on this massive train. And because of their belief, because of their fanaticism, they don't get sick. It's like...
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's like...
Guilliman's well, you weren't wrong, but...
Yeah. It's yeah. And Guilliman's real... I mean, he doesn't like it, but he lets them go. He's sort of let them do what they've got to do.
Yeah.
Orc logic.
Yeah.
Won't get sick. We've got a problem with us, lads. Lads.
Rub the priest. I've just realised we're coming up to 10 o'clock here, so we've been going for...
we're doing all right, yeah.
So we'll start winding things down. Shall we talk a little bit about what our plans are for going forward?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
because our plans are at the moment, this is not in concrete, this depends on a lot of things, but our plans are at the moment that we're not going to be just recording shows anymore, aren't we? You know, the Fluffenhammer as is will be coming to an end. Yeah. And now I've scared people with that. I'm going to continue. So what we want to do is we want to move on to Twitch. We want to start doing these shows live, get a bit of audience participation involved.
Yeah,
you know?
that would be fun. That would be fun.
So we'll get some PowerPoint presentations so we can all see what weird flights of logic we go on.
Wouldn't that just look like a big scribble? Like
it would be like that bit in Justice League Unlimited where you see inside the Questions bedroom, where there's just a piece of paper going from Starbucks to boy bands. Yeah,
it would be literally like the Labyrinth of Zeech, wouldn't it?
It would just be the spider's web of red cotton wool and drawing pins. In the middle, it's just a desiccated corpse. Who is it? We don't know. We don't even know who put him there. But yeah, that's our plan going forward. So we're hoping that hopefully the next episode will be on Twitch. But keep your
that'd
eyes.
Be great fun.
Yes, keep your eyes open, ladies and gentlemen.
It would definitely be fun being able to have people talk directly to us. That would be great fun.
Yeah,
and ask questions and tell us what they want us to talk about and whatnot.
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. It's just the natural evolution of these things, and we're going to hopefully have a good time.
Well, it's where all the onus is now, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. And of course, we have our very own Twitch creature in Andy.
Twitch creature.
Well, I am a zombie on there now. Yeah.
Indeed. Oh, does this mean I can call you a Twitcher?
I mean, if you like, technically, I do Twitch.
Mm-hmm. No, this just feels uncomfortable now. I don't like it. I think it's because you agreed, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm dead. I'm up for anything, bro.
Hang on, what?
You
cracking open a cold one means an entirely different thing now.
Totally different thing.
Yes. So that's the plan for going forward. Anyhow, that's what we're going to be doing, and that's what we're going to be working towards. So hopefully we can get that going and have a lot of fun with it. He says, fingers crossed, terrified how many ways this can go wrong. Well, I'm scared of new technology.
It's pretty easy to stream. It's not that hard.
Yeah. It's not that bad.
So that's where we're going to be going. So, with all that being said then, let's begin with George. Where can people find you if they wanted to read from the Necronomicon?
Oh, you can find a lot of my published work over at perpetualmotionmachinepublications.com. New short story collection out there at the moment, Born in Blood Volume 2. You can also find a bundle pack of Volumes 1 and 2 for a very reasonable price. And you can also find my published work all on the Evil Empire of Amazon.com and .co.uk. You can find me over at strangeplaygrounds.com, where there are links again to all my published work. There are free articles and short stories and reviews and all sorts over there. And you can also find me on YouTube, where I'm currently playing. I'm not going to start talking about this because Disco Elysium, I've talked about it so much. It's the best game ever made. Go and watch me play that. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. Those of you who played it, you know, because you all say the same thing. I've talked to you on Twitter. And you can also come and chat to me over on Enigmatic Elegy on Twitter.
Excellent. Andy, if people were on top of the towers of Notre Dame singing about heaven's light before plunging down into the depths to sing a song about, well, let's face it, getting randy over a gypsy girl, where can people find you?
Well, that's an interesting lead-in. You can find me on Twitter, CCTFW. On YouTube is Cobra Commander TFW. I'm on the Moonbase 2 podcast. If you just put in Moonbase 2 podcast, you'll find it. Me and Mikey talk about Transformers each and every week. And you can head over to twitch.com/CCTFW. And that's where I stream from 11 o'clock UK time in the evening to about 1:30. Might be changing the name to my new name of Decayed Andy, hopefully.
I like Decayed Andy.
I like Decayed Andy. I think that's pretty cool.
It rolls
my
off
model,
the tongue.
so it works.
Yeah. You know. It just rolls off the tongue so well.
It's less work than CCTFW.
Yes. To be honest with you, I was really confused when you changed your avatar. I think you've had that Cobra Commander avatar on Twitter for at least as long as I've known you.
I know, right?
When I saw you, it kind of changed the tone of your messages. It was a really weird experience.
Oh, man. Okay. In a good way or a bad way?
Oh, it wasn't good or bad. It was just different.
Okay.
But it was really interesting. I was so used to having that avatar, that little tiny Cobra Commander avatar, that everything you said didn't have this like little ring of, I don't know, cheery rage about it or something. And it became like a much more, I could hear your voice more, if that makes sense.
It was far less sibilant, far less Chris Larter, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of made it stop feeling like the personality and not more the person, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It was just a really weird moment of just like, hang on, this feels weird. This feels like I've fallen into a different dimension. I'm used to it now, though, and your Twitch avatar is awesome. I love that thing.
Yeah, it was done by Diamooch, so, you know, he's really good artist, so it's no surprise that it was... I watched him work on it as well, and it was really interesting.
Oh, wow.
To see him just do the highlights and, you know, go from one to another. I was like, can we do this? And he was like, oh, yeah, we could do that. I was like, should we do this? I was like, oh, yeah, that'll work, too. And,
yeah. It's really cool, and I like watching it on your Twitch as well, the way it lights up and stuff. It's very cool to watch.
Yeah, might be able to, as long as we set it up beforehand, it'll be something that can be on the Twitch channel as well for Fluffenhammer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because I have watched you a couple of times, Andy.
You have. We've talked.
Yes. Sometimes me and Abby'd like to watch you for 20 minutes before we go to sleep. And we say horrible things in your chat.
Yeah. It's nice to get interaction. I'll take it.
So you've got, like, friendly trolls.
Yes.
That's kind of fun.
I wouldn't say it's trolling, because we're not trying to wind anybody up. It's just more like...
no, Abby is. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Come on.
no. Oh, by the way, Abby says hello.
Hey! Hello, Abby.
Right then, as for myself, you can find me on thefluffenhammer.com, which, guess what, guys? I've only got 2 months of articles to migrate now.
Hey! How long is that going to take out of interest?
If I can get a couple of hours free over the next week, I can get it done over the next week.
Oh, there you go. That's not bad.
So that would be it. It would be done.
Woo.
I have deleted a lot of articles. Yeah, the Instagram stuff I've not migrated. It's just all been like the Baroque stuff that we've got. But then hopefully from there we can start doing new things for the site as well again. Yay!
Yeah, sounds good.
So
sounds good.
The new site will be finished. Yay! It's only taken me 6 months. Jesus Christ. You can also find me on adnickel.weebly.com, where I've been putting up art commissions, and I've been putting up audiobooks that I've worked on over the years. The last one was a rendition of We Can Remember It For You Wholesale.
Oh, wow.
By Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
And as I've discovered, apparently a lot of the Philip K. Dick stuff has moved into public domain.
Has it? Well, yeah, it would, of course. Yeah.
So I'm tempted
Bloody
to
hell.
do a full collection of Philip K. Dick stories and call it Mouthful of Dicks.
Don't do Valus.
I don't intend to.
No, don't do Valus.
I don't think I could read it, to be honest with you. I think my face would fall off.
People who are listening to it, their brains would like melt and come out of their ears.
It's barely a narrative. It's
Right.
I think everybody wants to see you with a mouthful of dicks, Adam.
Yeah. If I do it in a couple of different releases, it would be Fistfuls of Dick.
Oh my god, even better.
Being like the token gay guy in the group, I'm not even gonna get involved in this conversation.
That's no fun.
I'll have you know you are not the token, you're the Tolkien. Because you're the person with more knowledge of Lord of the Rings than either of us.
There's a potential channel on something. Tolkien gay guy. Yeah. Yeah. There's a potential project for you.
And that's the name of the episode. Let's see how that one does to the algorithms.
Well, since I've just mentioned being gay, it'll probably turn it, it will just desolate it.
No, I don't think so, actually, because we do have
YouTube. It will.
We've got a certain following, shall we say? So
yeah, this is a conversation for another time. But I've always wanted to know, like, what the demographics are in Warhammer and whatnot in that regard. I've always wanted to know.
It seems to be fairly evenly spread out, to be honest with you. What I can say.
Yeah, I was very, I'm very pleased there are people like Kirioth out there, who are representing.
Not enough zombies. It's disgusting.
Well, there's you, so that's alright.
There's only me.
Yeah.
I'm dead inside, if that helps.
That's my thing. Stop stealing.
Don't dead, open inside. That's how I describe my life. Right, with all that, then we're getting out of it, yeah. So you guys take it. God's sake. Describe your sex life with a movie quote. Don't dead, open inside. Right, thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and thank you, of course, Andy. Who is now a duck. Okay. And thank you, George.
No problem, anytime. Always a pleasure.
And thank you, listening at home, if indeed you still are. Take care, everyone.
Well done.
Bye-bye. Here's a trophy.
Unlock the door while those around him criticize and sleep through a fractal on the breaking wall. I see you, my friend, and touch your face again. Miracles will happen while we drip away. We're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. No, we're never gonna survive unless we are a little crazy. Yellow people walking through my head. One of them's got a gun to shoot the other one. And yet together they were friends at school. If all were there when we first took